All right, everybody. Hopefully we have fixed we are now
Frozen.
live here, working out through some kinks or some hacks from people like Doug Sheridan, who is famous for it, and we've caught him already. Delinking. All of a sudden, we got some error messages that Slack has been involved, which the only person who has ever worked on Slack for the Warrior Project was Doug Sheridan when he worked for the Warrior Project before he got fired in July of 25. And if you've seen their ridiculous site, it talks about how Doug started this altruistic movement all by himself in September, neglecting to mention that we caught them as just lying criminals and have been reached out by their family members. And we've investigated all of the evidence about it. And these are bona fide narcissists, pieces of garbage that they started this site of join the class action lawsuit against Dave Weigel, like abuse. It is just the most beyond stupid thing in the world. So they were so stupid they didn't actually block me from the site. So I started answering some of their questions. I said, okay. I said, please provide some evidence that, how does somebody defraud somebody when there's no money changing hands? But the dumber thing is, I sat here for 30 years on Wall Street, not robbing multimillionaire clients, waiting, biding my time to find the brokest group of people on the planet so that I could steal their last 50 cents. Like, it's just beyond dumb. It's narcissist behavior. And I was just talking with the ladies after on this week. The classic narcissist is just they hate themselves so much. They're driven with such envy that there is a big push. I'm speaking with some United Nations, international groups that are really specifically pushing back against just social media and the negative effect that it's having with narcissists. I mean, obviously, amplifying them. Okay, these morons can sit there and put up a site that Facebook does nothing about. All right, I've got these morons in New Jersey that have put out over 1,500 lies about me that I'm still dealing with, and that's why the Warrior Project exists, because the existing system allows these people not only to exist but to flourish, and they do nothing, and that's what happens in a lawless world. So what we stand for is really getting the evidence, telling the truth, and not being afraid to attract it and publish.
I can pay attention to your dog.
That's not my dog.
Oh, that's Kate's dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
My dog's not a big dog. She's
Okay.
sneaky.
Okay. Let's try and keep on topic, ladies. The larger issue here is that with everything that we're trying to do here, in exposing, the Bar Association as the largest regulatory fraud of all times. And there's no phrase that I'm going to say more times over and over and over this next year than that, because our proof is actually ironclad. All right. In 51 jurisdictions, we have proven from their work, their annual reports, that they have 4 to 6 phases of phasing out 98.7% of all public complaints. That is not what a regulator does. That is what's called mass obstruction of justice. It's treason against the United States of America, because Kate, our special guest here, is a particular important person in this role that she has only been with us for.
She's frozen.
She
said, I hear y'all, I just can't move. I'm checking all my settings. I'm like,
is that her dog?
Yeah, a lot of times it's the Wi-Fi of of the person. I'm not having any problems on my side.
I'm
You
not
guys don't have
having
any
any
problems on
here.
your side.
I'm not either. And with the day I've had with my computer, I would think it would be me.
Kate, maybe while we're introing Kate a little bit more, we should maybe invite her again.
Mike's
All
I
right.
did. I already did. I sent it
Send
to
her-
her. She's
Send her another
got
link.
it.
All right.
Yeah, she's
When
got
you guys are doing this without me, you got to keep an eye on the very, very top of the screen. Amy, pay attention, please, when you're doing this without me. For some reason, where this is, Freddie set this up horribly. You got to sit there and wait. And it says, now, okay, you get a prompt, add Kate to the screen, and you have to click it. Otherwise, if you don't click it, the box is going to go away, and you'll miss it if you're in mid-comment. Kate, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. I'm on my cell phone now, which is very odd that my computer did not want to cooperate, but here we are. It's working.
All right. Well, hey, listen.
Your cell phone is working amazing.
So that's good.
We are a grassroots organization of next door heroes that are here all trying to do something we've never done. We don't do this during our day jobs. We have just all been called to try to do something for this horrific situation we find ourselves in this country, which is spreading overseas. Okay. I've been in Europe for 2 months now. I haven't met a single person that has either recognized me at dinner or stopped me when I was walking into a hotel, who hasn't thanked me profusely, wanted to get into a conversation for hours long about what we're doing and thanking us for having the guts to stand up and do what nobody else is doing. All right. You can't blame people that there are a lot of good people in the system that are just not willing to give up their careers. They don't have any money, left. All right. I was unique in that instance. But as you guys know, I stepped forward because with my method, I was able to get my kids back, and I was actually able to repair my relationship with my ex. I mean, who could ever believe a woman that, sent me to Rikers Island to lose everything, when I realized that it really wasn't her. And I actually saw all the text messages and emails. Daniel notes, yes, I've seen all the text message and emails with you giving her step-by-step instructions on how to put in these false criminal complaints. And we're going to be exposing all of it. All right. And that is the heart and soul of what the Warrior Project is about. We get a lot of flack from a lot of jealous people out there, and just a lot of broken people. And I like to just look at them as all torture victims and try to take the high road here. But if we can't find a way to come together and fight the same enemy, we don't deserve to live in the country we grew up in. All right. And you people out there that are spending your time trying to take down our work, you don't deserve squat. Okay. You really are the lowest form of life out there. Okay. Whether you like my style or not. All right. Who else out there is having the guts to publish the names and the faces of the culprits involved? And whether you do have to take a step back. See, here's another little lesson. I saw something out there today. Successful people in this world know sometimes you have to take a step backwards to go 2 steps forward. Do you want to say that again for everyone that works at Sunoco? Okay, Jason and Aaron Sammartano. All right, Doug Sheridan and Jill Sheridan. Okay, the hackers that are posting this site about a lawsuit against a class action lawsuit against David Weigel, person who has never taken a dime from all 24,000 people, has somehow defrauded everyone, because their proof now is, Kate, is that in your very, very first step here, your very first step, you're getting less time with your daughter than you did before. And what do you have to say to that? What do you have to say to that?
with her son.
With your son, or your son. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that they chose that strategically, the haters and all the trolls, because with my upcoming court date, I honestly think they weren't thrilled that I CC'd the Warrior Project, but I really don't think it had anything to do with it. I think that to make their stance look good for court, they were trying to withhold time so they could have a leg to stand on and trying to move ahead with their nefarious plans.
Never getting to court. They just know I'm an easy target because they know that, number one, they have no money. Okay, so suing them for defamation is like suing a bum on the street. Okay, for what good? They have no money, and they know that I can't just walk into any kind of a police station, all right, and expect to get the kind of protection that a normal citizens are. So they're cowards. They're absolute cowards, all right? Doug and Jill Sheridan are currently under investigation, all right, by federal prosecutors for putting out, what is it, Amy? For practicing law without a license, right? Helping people formulate their court documents is providing legal services when you're not a lawyer, moron. Who doesn't know this? Who doesn't know this? Now, listen, the reality is we don't give, all right, these people what they just so desperately want. They desperately want. They just want their pathetic 2 minutes of fame, no matter if they have to kick a mother who's just had their child stolen to get it. All right. And it's up to every single person out there in the world. If you want to live like a slave, then you just sit there and do nothing and let these sites, these hate sites exist. Or you can anonymously just simply go to the three little dots and click it and hit 3 times. Harassment. Okay. Harassment and hate speech. Who is it? It's somebody I know, I don't know, or it's me or a friend. That's it. Click. Nobody knows who did it. But if 100, 200, 300, 400 people, these pieces of garbage get wiped out of the way of us trying to break the system for everyone's benefit. Okay. Whether you agree with our strategies or not, there ain't a hell of a lot of us agreeing to put crosshairs on our back and lose our country and lose our ability to be with our kids and put everything else at risk, all right, for other people. There's, all these really, really, really brave souls that have all these, criticisms, but no solutions ever. No solutions, just criticisms. But these people are going to exist, okay? 4 to 6% of society has always been narcissists, and it's been up to the rest of society to smack them back down. And if we all sit there and allow it to happen, say, somebody else should do it, somebody else should do it, somebody else should do it, you deserve to live like a slave in 5 years, okay? You don't deserve to get your kid back, all right? This is a project, and if it's not our project, somebody else's, but you know who's out there trying to do good, and you know who's out there trying to cause havoc and harm anyone's chances of getting their kids back just for their own reasons. And if you don't do anything about it, don't come crying here in 5 years when you're living a life of a slave. All right. That's all we're going to say about it, because we just got dealt with some hacking BS just before, where we know that came from Doug Sheridan, okay, because it came from Slack, which he is the only person that worked on Slack when he was fired from the Family Court Fraud Warrior Project. I mean, how many people know that Doug Sheridan was fired from the Fraud Warrior Project back in July of last year? How many people know about? How many people were volunteers? How many people know the details of it?
I do.
I think we had like at least 11,000 at that time.
No, I'm talking about volunteers. I'm talking about people that were involved in the conversation at the time. 30, 35? Are you frozen, Amy?
Yeah, you messy. Yeah, probably we had at least 20 volunteers at that point.
Yeah. And again, what did it was when we finally figured out that Jill Sheridan could not put a 3 to 5 minute video together when she tried 5 times because she couldn't make her bullshit sound reasonable to herself, and never submitted it. And then when Doug Sheridan said that, no, We're victims because Jill's daughter, I believe it is, okay, was 1 or 2 years old, was raped by her father. And I said immediately, well, obviously you took her to the hospital, right? I mean, a grown man, right? I mean, there's got to be some signs of this somewhere, okay? You got to get me the evidence. This is what we do. No. The only evidence they have is the baby told them in baby talk. Go, go, gaga, put on Paw Patrol. By the way, my daddy stuck his pee-pee up my... Are you, okay? These are the people that are trying to come and hold themselves out as heroes to try and warn you of what a fraud Dave Weigel is. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to sit there and say is, again, the common sense. I sat there on Wall Street for 30 years with multimillionaire clients in Manhattan, New York City, never once bothered to defraud them in any way, shape, or form, being audited every 2 years, 6 SEC audits, FINRA, okay, every 2 years, worked for 5 of the largest banks in the world. All of them missed Dave Weigel, the fraud. But the IT consultant of Doug Sheridan, okay, who makes $82,000 a year at whatever he is, 70 years old, he figured it out. He figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. And he figured out how I can actually defraud all of you people without ever asking a dime of your money. That's genius right there, guys. So this is all the time we're going to give here, but because the reason I'm giving this time is to really, really emphasize, guys, again, it is all of our responsibility. All right. The entire world is looking at us right now. That's why they're coming out of the woodwork. All right. They know I'm going around Europe forming a coalition for this international criminal complaint that's going to be naming names and states of particular bad actors, judges, attorneys, CPS workers, by name, by face, served by international warrant. Okay. Now you can blow it off or not. Still going to be a global news event. Still going to be a global news event. And this is something new, people. This is something new that has a chance to work. Why does it have a chance to work? Because how many times have we heard, Amy, somebody go into the FBI? All right. A couple thousand?
At least 2 or 3 times a week.
Is there any strategy or any form over the last 25 years that makes sense that hasn't been tried 1,000 times? Writing legislators,
Yes.
maybe doing this, forming, doing protests. Okay, nobody can sit there and say, over 40 years, has somebody else thought of this before and tried this? And have they done any research? No, they have not. But the point is, they know that the world is now looking. All right, the right people are looking, and we have a breakage in the system. Why won't the corporate-owned media report on these matters? Because no one wants to start a fight with the U.S. Bar Association. No one wants to pick a fight with one dirty judge or one dirty attorney. Never mind every dirty judge and every dirty attorney. And they hate me for my bravery for doing it. All right. And you're cowards and you're pieces of garbage. And it's up for everybody in this community. When you see these people, you go to the 3 dots up top, you click on it, you report it as harassment and abuse. The second one is harassment and abuse again. The third one is harassment and hate speech. Okay. Then it asks who you are. Is it is it you? Is it a friend? Is it someone that you know? That's it. Click, 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 submit. It's anonymous. Okay, these trolls can't attack you because they don't know that you've done it. But if a couple hundred people do it, all right, we have a chance of the rest of the world listening to what they should be listening to. And that's Kate's story right now. All right. And not allowing these pieces of garbage hijack somebody else's earned work, hijack somebody else's pain, hijack somebody else's earned audience. All right. And it's all of our responsibilities to do it. And if we're living like slaves in 5 years from now, mark my words, it is because not enough people actually took the time to actually do something about this. It can't just be us doing something about it. All right. Really, really doing something about it. That is putting yourself in harm's way. Last night we talked about that one repost for Pete Buttigieg, right? Where we sat there and said, my God, this guy's missing the boat. He thought that this was all about him. He thought that this was just a political hit. And even the podcaster was a great guy who did a great piece on it, was just flabbergasted that, imagine. I was shrieking. I was like, what do you mean imagine? 24,000 people here that have lived this, okay, are living this every single day. Pete Buttigieg, he described the week that he went through without his kids as the darkest period of his life. Well, Pete Buttigieg, okay, you have my vote for president, all right, because this happened to you for no other reason if you run, for no other reason, because you have at least the opportunity to actually see and know what's going on here. But the person I fault the most is when that podcaster said, and when we kick this over to the number one child psychology expert out of XYZ University, he took the biggest coward way out and said it was highly ineffective investigating. No, it was not. If you've done any research, clinical research on children in this country outside of Antarctica, okay, this is going on. All right. And you didn't ask the real question. You didn't answer the real thing. You said the real answer is the reason why they took one call from one nutbag and just said, okay, let's go get Pete Buttigieg's kids, is because that's what the business model is. That's what the Cash for Kids business model is. How long do you have to work in a police station before you know that there are whack jobs that call in crazy stuff? Is this deep, deep, deep police work to do a little bit of digging to find out? The real question was, why wasn't there any investigation whatsoever to the validity of the call? Because it's a business model that we've exposed and others have exposed as well before we've gotten into this. It is not just us. We're not taking all the credit here. All right.
Yeah, that's Dave. Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, it is. Let me just finish. Hold on. Let me just finish. It is because, all right, it is because people of size like this man are putting their career above the lives of children. My career is too important than everybody else's children, and shame on you, whoever the hell you are, because you had the opportunity to really do something, to be a big enough voice, all right, to actually say what needed to be said. No, it's a business model. The reason why they didn't investigate is because that's how the business model works. You get one call, you go get the kids. That's what makes the money. Go ahead, Kristen.
And that's the problem, is that they don't have to prove anything at all to a judge to get a judge to sign a petition for removal. But yet us parents, who are the parents, have to go above and beyond even unrealistic expectations to get our own children back. But they don't have to prove anything.
Right. And again, we're all circling back to what we said before, and I don't think we were live. It is because this organization has proven the Bar Association is the largest regulatory fraud of all times. They have provided a town without a police force. The reason the Warrior Project has to exist is because they know the entire law enforcement system in the United States is frozen. There's some good people in there. They don't have the power. They're not willing to give up their careers. That's what we're trying to do with the Wall of Fame and the Wall of Shame, is elevate the people doing the good work and show the faces, show the names, and show the crimes, and show the evidence of the crimes. All right. But we need this to be a community. I'm sick and tired of looking at YouTube and seeing 176 shares when I see 14-year-olds farting in a goddamn tub and it's got 2.5 million shares. This is the biggest story of all times. You have a Cash for Kids industry. You have a family terrorism industry going on in the United States of America, and nobody knows about it. Okay, it's not interesting enough. It really, really makes me wonder at times, what we actually deserve as a country anymore. If all we want to do is sit there and engage in trolling and muckraking and stealing somebody else's thunder, stealing somebody else's earned audience, stealing somebody's, Kate came out there and, she's a new member, and we're gonna finish this now and move directly into what this is about. And this is the third installment of going over, and I'm going to be passing this over to Amy and Kristen to finish, because I've had 6 hours sleep in the last 2 days because of everything that I'm trying to do over here. I'm meeting with the global press tomorrow at 2:30. There's going to be 17 members from 17 different news organizations from around Europe doing a press release with me tomorrow at 2:30 about this international criminal complaint that we are putting on the United States of America, specific states. Okay, Mr. Trump, not the United States of America, particular states that you happen to hate. Okay, Connecticut, Illinois, New Jersey, the Democratic states. It's where the worst of the worst are.
I'm still trying to push for the head of the Bar Association.
Yeah, and absolutely, the Bar Association, without a doubt, is first on the absolute list. We have proven hands down through math and their numbers. They phase out 98% of all public complaints. That is mass obstruction of justice, and it's treason. Okay, you're destroying this country from within. Okay, from broken families. It is the destruction of this entire country. So the Bar Association is the most treasonous organization on the planet. The U.S. Bar Association. I've noticed around the world, the bar associations they have there, they don't work that way. All right. It's only in the United States that they have formed a mafia. All right. And it's not Dave Weigel saying it. It's the numbers saying it. Come here. It's on our site. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. And because of that, we are now petitioning a new audience. Okay. A new audience. Why hasn't the press reported on this? Because no one wants to start a fight with the Bar Association. No corporation wants to do that. People are afraid to start a fight with one dirty judge, one dirty attorney, never mind everyone in the country. All right. So yeah, there's not a lot of people doing what we're doing here. Okay. For fear.
Did you see that story on our page that I approved today? That's the CPS story. It proves it to me beyond anything I've seen.
Absolutely.
We're willing to cover it when it's an attorney making money, finding CPS. Like, oh, okay, now we're willing to cover it when they're still profiting off of someone's death.
Everyone involved, I want people to understand here, and especially in Kate's case here, every single person involved. I don't care if you grabbed a piece of paper from the caseworker and you handed it to you're all being added because you're all part of it. You all know what kind of a criminal organization you work for, and your names are going to be in lights, global lights, not just America. So why is what we're doing here different now? Because how's the Bar Association supposed to hurt these 150 journalists from around the world? What are they going to do to a journalist in Belgium? Okay. They don't have the same fear that everybody else has. It's a different ball game. And the international courts, yes, the United States has ignored them in the past and put their nose in the air, but they're still part of the treaty. They're still part of the 1985 United Nations Convention Against Torture, because right in the actual treaty it states, if you have,
and you might not be able to go to Europe anymore if you're an attorney.
If you've got torture, okay, laws against torture in your own country, in your own legislation, you're automatically involved. The United States is automatically involved along with the other 150 countries. And our job is to blow this up globally. And the bottom line is that we have legal basis. We have open ears for honest attorneys and honest judges that are not happy with the shit that they from just dealing with, being connected to the United States of America. And like I like to tell them, I was like, when we take a dump, you guys have to smell it, right? And immediately they get, they nod their heads off. They get it. So this is something new we've got going on, guys. This is a different ballgame. This is a different equation, right? You don't have the same things going on here. So what we asked when Kate first came in was, now we need to show, the torture. We need to actually show the actual torture aspect of this. Our initial campaign was, turn your phone around, give us 3 to 5 minutes of your, your story. What did they do to you? What did they do to your child? Now, the new campaign, which we need everyone for, is turn your phone around. And I know it will hurt. Okay. But again, this is the 1 step backwards for 2 steps forward. And you just have to ask yourself, can I live in the status quo? Can I live in the status quo? All right. And Kate stepped up in a tremendously big way. She did it so incredibly powerfully. All right. That it actually became part of our advertisement here. All right. And then now we need the third and most important piece of this. And that is to show the names and the faces of the people involved in the crime, involved in stealing Kate's child. Now, all right, we are going to put a full disclosure out there. There are many times that CPS is removing children for good reason. All right. There are people that have mental illness. There are people that are on drugs. That are people that are criminals, that are in unsafe environments, and they are going in there and they are doing the right job. That still does not change the fact that the fundamentals of the business is a business of fraud, and is a business of family torture. All right. And it really also even boils down to who they're actually hiring for these jobs. They're specifically hiring certain types of people that really, they're like trolls, right? They're the exact same type of people that you see would actually go and sit there and say, oh my God, somebody's out there trying to do a great thing. Somebody just spent, $200,000 of his own money to go try and save other people. I hate this person. I hate this person because it shines a big fat light on how much of a nothing I am, how disgusting I am, how I've achieved nothing in this world. So for me to feel better, I have to try and drag him down. I have to drag her down. Okay. And as much as we are here in a singular mission to break this system, the larger issue is that this Fraud Warrior Project works for exposing narcissists too. All right. When we posted Jason and Aaron Sammartano's public record, all right, they had a scam. We caught them in a scam with Monica Ciardi. And we caught her, and we looked into their background, and we saw over 25 judgments. That's 25 times that they were taken to court for stealing money from old people in Toms River, New Jersey, or the surrounding area. They've moved around a lot. 25 times. So how many people did they steal from? A judge recently, a Supreme Court judge or a very, very high up judge, just took a look at this piece of garbage and just said, that's it. They had 65 citizen complaints out there because they can't work on the books. If they work on the books, everything's garnished. What is it, $168,000, Amy, they owe? How many different parties?
186,000.
186,000. So they can't clearly work on the books. So they had a little scam going on of going into victim communities like this and saying, hey, don't pay a lawyer all those tens of $1,000s. In New Jersey, they have no requirement to be a paralegal. So poof, Aaron Sammartino is a paralegal, all right? And Monica Ciardi can confirm and has confirmed all of this information. She was trying to practice law without a license, just like Doug and Jill Sheridan as well. All right. And exposing these people in the exact same way. All right. Again, little pushback. Okay. I've had to deal with 1,500 lies about myself, calls to my regulators. All right. It's not everybody interested in doing that, but it only takes a few of us with the goal to actually stand up for the rest of us. And this Warrior Project is going to be just as committed to exposing these narcissists. They've wreaked havoc on people's lives. Okay, for years and years and years. All right. Some of the text message that I get from their victims are just Dave warning me. They're so dangerous. They're so dangerous. Stay away. They're such broken people. But we're not. We're not backing away. Kate Malone is here to finish telling her story today. I have to thank Amy and Kristen, as always, for doing all of the legwork in gathering the evidence, getting the story together, vetting things, okay, and making sure that we're doing everything possible to make sure that we're looking at things balanced, all right, and that we are reporting the truth. And when we find that the truth leads to these people being very deserving of their faces and their names exposed, and an APB out, which says, if you have been hurt by these people too, this is what moves the needle. You do not have to go public at the Family Court Fraud Warrior anymore. Okay, we're going to be rolling out our AI stack very, very shortly. You can be here anonymously. Okay, if you're worried about retaliation, if you're not somebody that's good on camera, all right, in the past you may have heard or saw that this was not a place for you. It is now. We're opening our doors because things have changed now. We have more resources available. We have more tools available. But what we do need is we need everyone participating right now. And when you hear Kate's story and you hear the people that are involved in this, all right, it's your responsibility. It's your American responsibility to get in contact with us. All right, let us know. Okay, help at fraudwarrior.org. Dave at fraudwarrior.org. Amy D at fraudwarrior.org. Erin, ERIN at fraudwarrior.org. Everything is fraudwarrior.org. Figure it out. We all have first names. It's only Amy. There was two Amy's, so hers is the only one that's Amy.D. All right. Let us know. You have my 100% guaranteed commitment that if you want to stay private and confidential, you have our guarantee that you will remain, but we need your data. We need your data. No one is winning this thing one case at a time. That's the beginning part of the onions that you pull, right? You go 5 years thinking, no, but my case, you don't understand. My evidence, my case. There's a lot of layers of this onion that you have to peel. But with that being said, I just want to say, Kate, thank you for not being afraid. All right. We had talked a little bit before the actual stream. I want to ask you the same exact question. I was saying that one of the pushbacks we're getting here now is, oh my God, Kate, there's a meme up. Kate got less time with her children since joining the Warrior Program. Yes. Successful people in this world understand that when you're dealing with a really difficult situation, a really difficult enemy, a really difficult battle or war, sometimes you have to take a step backwards to go 2 steps forward. But the big question is, you have to sit there and say, can I just live in the status quo? All right. And with Kate, what I saw in your eyes and in your, I don't even know what to call it. It brought me to tears, like so many things do with this. I saw a woman that cannot live in the status quo anymore. What do you think about the pushback that, since you've joined the Warrior Project, and this is very first stage where we have not yet now, gone to the next level of exposing them and exposing what they've done, what the facts are, what the evidence is. All right. How do you feel about this initial pushback that the very first response, okay, was, oh my God, retaliation. I got hurt off this. How do you position this in this entire like marathon of a fight that we have ahead of us?
To me, it's a chess game. So when you have people who are very low level intelligence wise and are given an ounce of power in a bureaucracy, um, their first instinct is to retaliate because they don't know, they might know of the Warrior Project, but they don't know about the behavioral change machine. So I can guarantee you all of these people who have mistreated my son, who have mistreated me, have not counted on the fact that their actions, their names, and their faces are about to become public.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's one step. No, not at all. It's just truth telling. And also, if there are other people, in my town, I'm in Douglas County, Nevada. If there are other people who've dealt with the Carson City CPS office and have seen any of these people or have dealt with my judge before and had positive experiences or negative experiences, we at the Warrior Project want to hear about it because we have a wall of fame, which we love putting people on, as well as a wall of shame. And once people are on the wall of shame, Dave has, explained multiple times that there are opportunities to be removed from that by doing the right thing. Because a lot of times their supervisors are telling people, if you want to keep your job, you have to do this. I happen to have something called integrity. So if I had a job where I was being told, hey, you have to perjure yourself and harm this family in order to keep your job, I'd quit in a heartbeat. Because it's not like they're getting paid $100,000 a year. They can go to McDonald's and probably make what they're making at, these social service agencies. But, the thing is, this is about our children. And they're already going to do what they're going to do. In my case, is something I figured out a long time ago. I've played nice. I've played by their rules, and it's gotten me nowhere. And at this point, I know retaliation is coming, and that's okay. I mean, I will probably have a gag order against me. That's okay too. But that's why I'm putting this out there, because this is for my son. And then not only for my son, this is for everyone's kids. And these are for our children's children. Because the way our world is now, like, we might as well be living in Nazi Germany. And it's not the United States. It's embarrassing to say I'm an American with the way things are. And so if I were just to sit back and do what a lot of people do, which is complain about things, but not be willing to put their face forward, not be willing to take whatever retaliation comes their way, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to look at my son and say, Mommy tried everything possible. And Mommy stands up to bullies. And these people are bullies because that's all they are. And, that's not what we tolerate. Period.
And I'm going to ask Kristen and Amy have been with me the longest. Amy has got to have spoken to 2,000 people over the last 2.5 years. Kristen probably over 1,000. Have you ever heard once when somebody played by the rules, it worked out for you?
No.
Not once.
Nope.
Not once for me either. I've never, ever seen that.
I'd like to ask in the comment section, and I'd ask the world, if you've ever known anyone, once you've been caught in this machine and you're in the machine, have you ever heard of any? I want to hear of one. I want to hear of one person who said, all right, I'll shut up now. I'll obey the gag order. That's illegal. I'll do everything that you ask. And they were in a better situation 6 months, a year, 2 years later. I want to hear of one. We're not going to hear of one.
The only time you ever hear that is if somebody runs out of money and they just quit.
Right. Or their ex is such a drug addict that they forget they don't go to court. Okay. Their ex messes up and they just win by utter default or some sort of a fluke thing. But there's no model to it. There's no model to it. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but when you're fighting for your children, when your children have been stolen, not everything's going to go perfect. You might actually have to suffer a little bit of a setback before you can go 2 steps forward. Okay, that's called intelligence. Okay, so I've had 6 hours sleep over the last 2 days, getting ready for the number of people that I'm meeting in all these different countries. I am building this consortium. The interest amongst international journalists that fear nothing of the U.S. Bar Association are interested as hell of this project. Okay, they're interested as hell. People are analyzing our data that we did, proving the Bar Association is the largest regulatory fraud of all times. Okay, and the work that we did proving that they have 4 to 6 phases of phasing out valid complaints against attorneys and judges that are by policy and confirmed 51 times in all 51 jurisdictions. They all do it. That is what you call organized crime to the nth degree. So even
I
though
don't know who this is, it's quoting constitutional law, and that's great. A lot of people have filed these great 1983, 42.
Here's the thing with constitutional law. You're missing the plot.
The international court does not give a flying F about.
I'm sorry, this is not an insult. This is not an insult, okay? It's just you haven't peeled enough layers of the onion yet. The problem is not the laws. The problem is there's no enforcement of the laws. They're all scared of making an enemy of the largest regulatory fraud of all times and every dirty judge and every dirty attorney, okay, in the country. That is why you don't hear it reported on the 5 o'clock news. That is why you don't see insiders stepping up. Okay, everyone is afraid to have the crosshairs on their back that I have. All right, and we all have. Okay, and Amy has, and Kristen has, and Erin and everybody else, and Kate now does as well. All right, but the key here is if we're thousands of people doing this, we won. If we're 40 people doing this, we lost. All of us lost. And that's the math. That's the math. Okay. So I'm going to try and dip out and take my apparently too abrupt personality to get the rest of the world like me, and let my better halves, Amy and Kristen, take over. They did all the work in digging into Kate's case. Okay, they are the experts here. They know the Warrior Project principles inside and out. I couldn't have better partners and people that I love more in my life. They're my chosen sisters, and we are a family. And I love each and every one of you guys more than words can say. I'm going to get off and I'm going to let you guys finish
you too, Dave.
Finish this the way this is shown and show these people's fucking faces.
And if you jump back in because you get angry, we forgive you in advance.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be not the last time I get angry. I'm going to go out on a limb.
I'm just saying, we forgive you if you pop back in because, you know.
All right, I'm gonna just be a listener here, and I'm gonna let the professionals take over.
We got this. We're good.
Thank you, everybody, for checking in here. And again, with these troll sites out there, that these people are out there to harm your ability to get your kid. The only way we win is we win together. There's no one winning this case one case at a time. I don't care what your evidence is. You're a moron if you think it's about evidence, okay? I'm sorry.
Oh, but you haven't seen my evidence.
If you think it's about
Mine
evidence.
is going to be what breaks the
what's going to break the whole thing open.
You haven't done 10 minutes of research. If you're sitting there thinking, you don't understand what kind of evidence I got. You haven't graduated 8th grade, okay?
But they don't play by the rules.
You need to let other people do the thinking. I'm much smarter than you. Okay, I'm sorry that's obnoxious, but it
It's
just
true.
happens to be true. Happens to be true. So stay in
It
your
took
lane.
you 14 years of getting
Stay
your
in your
ass
lane.
kicked before you got smarter.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. The only way I got smarter is I had to get my ass kicked, and I'd have my kids stolen from me for 5 years, so I could put 15,000 hours of blood, sweat, and tears into this project. Okay, and not to mention all the money that did not go back to replenishing my kids' college fund. Right now is still going $12,000 a month into trying to save your children. So can I
And thank you.
please ask?
100%
Can I
true.
please ask that if these troll sites come up there, that someone take 2 minutes out of your life and go and hit the 3 little dots and do 3 things: harassment, harassment again, harassment, hate speech, and someone I know, someone I don't know, or a group that I like, or whatever the thing is. Submit. It is.
I
it
like
is-
reporting them as terrorist
it is,
groups.
it is anonymous. The trolls don't know who you are. They can't come after you. And if you don't do it, you don't deserve your kids back. Good night.
Thank you,
Good
Dave.
night, Dave. Okay, let's go back to why we're all here. And I'm going to try to do this and see if it happens to work.
So, Kate, why don't you tell everybody first what your profession is? So,
Um,
I just want everybody to be just as shocked as I was about the fact that CPS took your child and you being who you are and doing what you do for a living.
I am a preschool teacher. I've been an educator for the majority of my life. I've worked with children since I was 9 years old. Children are my passion. I've nannied for multiple families for 5 years, 10 years. I'm still friends with some of the kids who were 6 months old at the time, and they're now in their 30s and have kids of their own. When this happened, I was out on workers' comp because I shattered my wrist at work, slipping on black ice. Had a plate and 10 screws put in, and then kept working. And then I had to actually go out because I had another surgery on a dislocated tendon and shredded ligaments and all that fun. So CPS even said, "Oh, you have no arrest record. Like, we don't know you. Like, we don't understand why we're involved." When they tried to play nice at first.
She's a preschool teacher, everybody. And has, what are you, early childhood development? You're certified in that, right?
I have a degree in early childhood education, and I studied child and adolescent developmental psychology in college. And then when I transferred to a different college, I got my bachelor's degree in social work.
So basically, CPS does not discriminate. If you have children, you can bet your ass they want them. Because clearly she's not somebody who anybody would ever expect would ever. She never even knew anybody that this had happened to.
Nope. Not a single person, not from my hometown, not from the community. And I was one of those people who thought only like really, really bad parents have their child taken away. And I know of cases where, I think I said this in my torture video, where I've called CPS because of things that were very like horrific that were happening to kids in my class, right. And they were never even investigated. But the business model is that they leave kids in dangerous situations and they steal kids from the good parents because those children are more adoptable.
Mm-hmm. And then situations like your child who is has autism,
special needs, and ADHD,
and the children that are special needs, they are worth more money.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. I mean,
no, the amount of money that they make off my son every single month is astounding and disgusting. And it's been today's 562 days since he was stolen.
What is
and when is your next court date?
My next court date today is Thursday, the 13th of August. My next court date is Tuesday, August 18th. So in like 4 days.
What is that on the screen, Amy?
I just uploaded a file with everything in it, all in one place. So hopefully we can find what we need right here when needed. This is bruises. This is the judge. We do have some other videos
that judge is creepy looking.
I know.
What the
There's
hell?
another
Look at
picture.
that. Oh,
There's another picture she had of him where like people are putting his robe on for him. It was so disturbing, and I almost used it, but you couldn't see his face. And I thought everybody needed to be able to recognize him, even.
God, he looks evil. He's got like the creepiest face. Oh my God.
But he told Kate he doesn't even
Dislike me.
dislike her.
Yes.
He doesn't even dislike her.
Yeah, the quote was, and Ms. Malone, I don't even dislike you. So I don't really know what that meant. And he'll give me a little pep talk saying like he really believes that he thinks I can do what's necessary to bring my son home. But then also he's also the person who in the 72-hour hearing when I had no legal representation completely made my argument for me, but wouldn't let me speak because he didn't want me to incriminate myself. So he acts like he's taking care of me, but he'll say something that totally makes sense and then rule against you. And something else I'd like to add is that due to his decision to have my child removed based on 3 things that were completely proven by the state's own witness during the evidentiary hearing 3 months later to be false, he also found that my claim was substantiated. So now I can no longer work with children, disabled people, or elderly people. So my degree, everything I've done for my whole life, I'm almost 47 years old, is completely worthless. And all the things that I'm passionate about are completely worthless. So,
and you have 2 degrees, is that correct?
I have my bachelor's, and then I have certifications in early childhood education. And I took probably 20 different CEUs or CEU classes. So probably like 60 units altogether on things like, working with children with autism, working with children with sensory processing disorder.
You're more certified for CPS's job than they are.
Yeah, they don't even understand autism and how they're handling my son right now. The current caseworker, she's just traumatizing him even worse. And so that's what really bothers me because I'm an adult and I can handle anything that comes my way. And he's a 7.5-year-old little boy. That would be her. She's 26 whole years old.
Why am I not here?
Where'd you go? You're behind the comments. That's why.
I'm like, why am I not?
You're behind the comments.
Well, I want to be over here.
So
no, I don't want to move the comments.
Now,
I want to move me.
What is really mind-boggling to me is that even after the doctor at the hospital admitted that he was wrong for contacting Child Protective Services, your child was not returned.
No.
And he didn't quite admit that he was wrong, correct, from what I understand. Let's go into this, and you correct me when I'm wrong. Your son has had in-home therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist,
physical therapy.
You were very on top of it as a mother.
Ever since he was 2, we started early intervention with children age out of at 3. But on top of early intervention, I was doing private occupational therapy once a week, private speech therapy once a week, or sometimes twice a week. We had a previous provider we used for twice a week until he was like 3. Then we dropped down to once a week with the new provider. And then physical therapy for an hour a week as well, because I knew just counting on early intervention services, which it was during COVID, so everything was pretty much virtual. I knew that that wasn't enough. And I know that early intervention, because of the work that I've done over my lifetime, I know that early intervention is key. Like I would have students in my class and I would try to gently suggest to their parents that they might want to have an assessment on their child, because I didn't want that kid to be in first grade by the time people started to realize that they were having certain deficits. Like my son also has sensory processing disorder. So the way he perceives different things, like, some touches feel like horrific sharp pain to him, whereas to you and I, it would feel like someone's just gently touching you on the hand. So I wanted every child who I taught to have the best possible advantage when they started school. So the goal of all the early intervention services is that by the time the children are between 8 and 10 years old, they won't even need them anymore. So I, really wanted to do the best that I could for my son to have a chance at, being a happy, functioning member of society. And I mean, he's brilliant. He could literally do anything he wants with his life. He could be a nuclear physicist. He currently wants to be a paleontologist. That has been his thing for the past couple of years. And he loves telling you facts.
Well, he's probably going to stick with that because I've noticed that I've been around quite a few autistic kids, actually. I used to date a guy who has an autistic child who was into animals. Like, I mean, he knew everything about every animal in the world. There's not one animal that he doesn't know about. And it was crazy because it was ones I've never even heard of. Like when autistic children pick a fascination, they run with it and they stick with it. So that's probably what I'm doing for a living.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All through this, you end up getting this next door neighbor, Laura Lynn Rivas.
Lori is actually her name.
Okay. And she got dementia. She's filed over 226 or something crazy complaints against people. She's calling the police all the time. Not you all the time, but people. Just everybody.
There were 250 CAD logs from my local police department of her calling. Like, she would call because we walked into her house. And the police never notified me every single time because one time they did call me and they were like, what is really wrong with this woman? But she had a history of calling CPS on people wrongfully starting back in the 80s. And I have connected with some of those people that she's accused of horrific things. And her main thing in life was, even before she was kind of in and out of dementia when she lived next door to me. Thank God she doesn't anymore. She's currently in a home now for a memory care assisted living facility. But that's her staring at my front door. That's from my Ring camera. So she would literally walk by and say insane things. So basically with her, it started off that she wanted to be friends from the second I moved in. And I had an 18-month-old son who's now 7.5. And I was a single mom, 24/7, 365. And, this woman dabbles in cocaine, things like mushrooms, acid, et cetera, frequently was losing her firearms and would want me to bring my child over to her house. And I was like, we're busy. Thank you. So I was just kind of on the be polite and nice plan with her, and just dismissive and tried to not really interact with her. She started when my son was around 4 years old. He was verbal, but barely. She would start to come out to my car the second that we would pull into the driveway. And he'd be in the car and I'd be unloading stuff into my garage because my car doesn't fit in my 1-car garage because it's a pretend garage. Literally, you have to park adjusted all the way to the side, and I still could barely get out of my car. So I couldn't even load my child into the car. So I gave up and bought shelving. But she would be out there. I was like, how the heck does she know every single time I'm pulling in? But she was one of those old people who was home all day and just bored. So she would approach my car and my son would still be in the car. And she would start talking about how she wanted to blow her head off. And I knew that she had 3 different firearms and had seen them. So I knew it was legit. So I gave her resources. But from my experience, people who truly are feeling that way don't talk about it day in and day out. They act on it, unfortunately. But I gave her resources and I said, look, I'm really sorry, but I can't know you right now because I can't even have a conversation in my house on the phone and have my son over here, risk hearing my son overhear my end of the conversation because it's not appropriate for him. And he may be nonverbal, but he can understand everything you're saying. Then she dried her cat in her dryer, so it was DOA. And my son heard about that from a different neighbor. So he called her Cuckoo Lori. That was his name for her. So basically she would, he was terrified of her. And so she disappeared out of town at the end of December of 23. And when she came back, her first course of action was to attempt to file a restraining order against me. And I just had surgery on my arm. And I read the allegations in the restraining order, and they were just completely nuts. And to the point where the judge, who happens to be Judge Nathan Todd Young, who I have for my CPS case, he was the judge who heard her complaint and he didn't grant it. However, that was, putting on permanent public record things that were like completely false, inflammatory, just horrific about me, like saying her son was at my house and came back super high and he was so high he was levitating, which just makes her sound nuts. But she's putting that stuff out there. And her son had come over because he's like, my mom's out of her mind. Can I please chill at your house till she passes out? She's been drinking again.
Pretty sure there was 2 police reports of you levitating.
I'm sure there were more than 2 police reports of me levitating. Like there could have been 17. I mean, like, yeah, there's he levitates, I levitate, everyone levitates. It's a thing. So basically the judge did not grant her restraining order in March of 24. So when that didn't work, she decided that the judge asked if I wanted anything to do with her. And I said, absolutely not. And she said she wanted nothing to do with me. And I'd already lived like there was a restraining order in place since I moved here in 2020. So I would avoid her like the plague. Because it really upset my son to be around her. Like if she would approach us and she would just say like totally inappropriate, weird, off the wall things. And so basically, she later told me that after the restraining order wasn't granted in March of 24, that she decided that she knew it probably wasn't right, but she figured it was okay to talk to my minor child, even though he was always holding my hand, because she was trying to get to me. And she admitted that everything she wrote in the restraining order, and I have all of this on audio, but no one's cared to hear it, that she made up every single thing in the restraining order. And she admitted that she purposely sought out my son because she was mad that I would not be friends with her. And so every single day she would walk by my front door. She would talk and say horrible things. Then she took to around June of 24, she started filming my child and I walking from my front door to my car, or walking from my car to my front door. Or she would stand at the opening of her garage door where I put up a ton of Ring surveillance cameras, have gigs and gigs of footage of this. But basically she would, stand there and film him where the cameras wouldn't catch it. And for a child with autism, a lot of times they're very, very sensitive to having their photos taken or being recorded without their permission. And so she did this one day and my son even said, "Leave me alone, you stupid bee." And then he's like, "Oh, I said a bad word." And I said, "Well, honey, we don't call people names, but she does need to leave you alone." And then she said, to my son, "You're going to be so much better off once you're taken away from your mommy." And she's like, "I'm going to call the school and tell them what a horrible parent you are." I was like, "You don't even know where he goes to school, but okay." I was like, "You need to stop." And so then she continued over the summer, like just sitting outside waiting for me to walk out the front door to go to the mailbox. And then in August, I walked out my front door one day and I had to leave my son in the house to run to the corner to get the mail, which is not normal, but I did it to shield him from her. And so I was gone for 30 seconds and had my Ring camera on and I was watching on my phone so I could see him in the living room and he was watching a TV show and I could talk to him the whole time. But it takes all of 45 seconds to go to the mailbox and back. So she decides to douse me with her hose, which when I looked back later, she had been in the process of putting her hose away, but had been talking just nonsense, like gibberish, at my cameras and talking about what a bitch I am and all this stuff. So anywho, she sprayed me. I called the police. And then the next morning, she ended up calling CPS and claiming that my son had a swollen shut black eye a week before that. And so we had a CPS investigation done. It was closed as unsubstantiated. I had pictures of my son from that day. I had pictures from the next day, the day after. I pulled up my Ring cameras. I was like, I know exactly who did this. They wouldn't specifically tell me, but the worker did kind of nod her head towards the direction of the lady's front door because we're in a condo and said, "If this person calls, we will never come out again." And that was the lady who was like, "I'm shocked to be here. You're a preschool teacher. You've never been arrested. You have no speeding tickets. You have no record of anything." And My son became extremely dysregulated from having the police in our house the night before she called CPS, and then having the CPS workers in our house, because he was used to only, I'm very cautious about who I allow in my life, period, who I allow to know where I live, who I allow around my child.
In your home.
Yeah, my home.
Just anybody being there.
Exactly. I'm a protective mom.
Clipboards and cuffs.
Right. And so he was mad because he couldn't control what was going on, and these people were just showing up. And so basically, he started to get extremely dysregulated after that. So our home kind of became a trigger for him. So even if we pulled into our driveway and didn't even see her, because there had been so many times where she'd approached us, like after I had to put my dog to sleep, she was out there filming us, and then told my son, I'm sorry your mommy doesn't love you. Like, you're going to be so much better off once you're taken away from her. I'm going to have this house searched for drugs and your mommy's going to get in trouble. And we got inside and my son said, I don't have a dad. Like, and I know you don't do drugs, mommy. And he said, what's going to happen to me? And I said, sweetheart, you call her Cuckoo Lori. Like, don't worry about anything she says. Mommy doesn't do anything wrong for you to ever be taken away. So you don't have to worry about that. So my poor kid was terrified of being placed in foster care because he didn't have a dad, and his dad's just been MIA for the past 6 years. And I assured him that it would never happen to him. And he started to feel like when we would come home from daycare or work or whatever, he would say that he felt like he hated Cuckoo Lori so much. And he felt like if he couldn't use good listening, which is what the term I use, like if it's like saying, hey, it's time to sit down for dinner, or it's time for bath or whatever, that he had to hurt her, or he had to hurt me or himself. And I said, baby, mommy doesn't want you to hurt yourself, and you can't hurt mommy. That's not okay either. And so, I mean, his speech therapist was aware. She'd seen the videos of this woman like tormenting my child. His occupational therapist was aware, so was his physical therapist. And these people were outraged at this woman because she was preying upon a child with special needs.
So this was your very first experience with CPS?
Yes, it was in August of 2024.
How much longer after that was the day that you took him to the...
I'm going to fast forward this a little bit because he was threatening to self-harm and he was ramming into walls and he had hurt himself. He had to go to get stitches at one point.
No, he didn't need stitches. He'd done a header into the wall in January of 25. So roughly 6 months after the initial CPS involvement. So what had happened was the day I took him to the hospital, he had told his daycare worker, because he'd grabbed another child's arm, and she reprimanded him. And he said, when my mommy goes to sleep tonight, I'm going to hurt myself really, really badly until I die. And she told me that. And we already had a safety plan with his pediatrician, the occupational therapist, and everyone. So I took him to the hospital because had he actually rammed his head into the wall and required stitches, I would have gotten arrested for child neglect, for failing to act. And a third party knew. And I didn't want to take him to the hospital, but I was like following what professionals had told me to do. But because I took him to the hospital, I was never arrested, still haven't been arrested to this day, but I had my child stolen. Because I was flagged from having the first report too.
Yeah. And I don't know if many people really know this, but hospitals and schools have contracts with Child Protective Services nowadays. Mm-hmm. Every time you take your child into an emergency room, whether it's the flu, a broken arm, it doesn't matter what it is. Child Protective Services is notified. They may not come and talk to you because it's not something that you did wrong. It's just that they're sick. But there is immediately they are notified about the fact that you brought your child into an emergency room.
And your child's then in a database too.
Yeah.
For future occurrences.
Yep. Every time you take your child to the emergency room, and I'm not saying this to scare people out of taking your child to the emergency room, because you have to if something happens. They need medical care. But everybody deserves to know that. Kate is at the
hospital with her son. Kate does have stress through the roof. She's been living with a child that has been dysregulated. She's got a lot on her plate as a single mother. She's stressed. She's overwhelmed. She has verbal diarrhea. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
100%.
said entirely too much. This was your mistake, but that is not a reason to take someone's child.
But they also said, be
She
honest
never
with
said,
us.
I don't want my kid. I'm leaving my kid forever. She said, I'm stressed out. I'm overwhelmed. We had a safety plan. I was scared if I didn't come that he would
Hurt himself.
and then I would be held accountable because he had told a third party. And I think Kate might have told him about her banking and her grocery needs and everything. I mean, she said way too much.
Yeah.
But
she also did not know at that time that this was something that was happening to people. Just like I didn't know, you don't know until it's happening to you.
No, and when the closest hospital to you was 45 minutes away, is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay. So we've worked all day. We've got home. We've tried to calm it down. It's not calming down. We're not going to bed. We're threatening to hurt ourselves.
How long had it been since he had been to sleep?
In the car, we go to the hospital. We wait 2 hours before anybody even admits you or sees you.
And he hadn't slept in a couple days, which meant you couldn't sleep
No.
for days.
Well, basically, what was happening is prior to the hospital, which was on a Friday, he woke up Friday morning like normal, but he was having an adverse reaction to a medication that was prescribed. He saw a psychiatrist online the day before we went to the hospital, and the psychiatrist gave him like quadruple the dose of a different medication that had worked before, but it snowed him. So part of what happened at the hospital was I said, hey, when you prescribe the Clonidine, I said, look, he has to be here for his own safety for the next couple of days. I've had all this stuff with the neighbor, which I think they thought I was making it up about the neighbor. Like they didn't believe it. They thought like, what like old lady is going to harass a 5-year-old with special needs? Like that doesn't sound normal because it's not freaking normal. But basically I let them know, hey, look, I've had him on therapy waiting lists. Currently his psychiatrist is telehealth. My hope is that over the next few days, you guys would be willing to trial an ADHD medication for him because he's 3 weeks shy of turning 6 years old and no one can legally prescribe it for him outpatient. And they're refusing to, but things have gotten to the point where at night he's like beating me before bedtime. So I would have to like bear hug him and he kept leaving his room and I'd have to keep putting him back in his room. And I mean, he's cracked my teeth. He punched me in the face, and he's a sweet kid, but he was just freaking out. So he'd finally go down at like 1:30 in the morning because of not being so just agitated. Then I'd be laying in bed thinking, oh my gosh, what the heck can I do differently? What can I do to like help my child? I feel so powerless. I've made reports to the police about this woman. I feel like a prisoner in my own home. I was constantly in a state of hypervigilance because due to his behaviors, he would yell things like, please don't kill me when he was in the other room because he wanted to stay up and watch TV at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. And I was terrified that another neighbor would hear and the police would come out. And because of her false report, he would get taken. So I literally told the hospital, hey, he has to be here for his own safety. I'm hoping that, and I'm doing this to protect him from himself so he doesn't get taken by CPS. I let them know honestly about his behaviors in private, 50 feet away from the room he was in. He was in with a staff member with the door closed. So because I told the ER doctor honestly what was going on so that they could help get him the best help possible, my goal was, I said, look, my hope is that we'll be able to leave here in a couple days. We will be able to leave, meaning I would be with him. With him having a referral for an outpatient psychiatrist, trialing the ADHD meds while he's under observation so that you guys would feel safe prescribing them for the 3 weeks prior to him turning 6 years old, and in-person therapy referrals. And hopefully, the hospital can help expedite all of that. So I was forced to go home finally at like 6:37 in the morning. And I emailed Lori Berry, who's on the screen right now.
Is that not also true at the time? You had a dog and
I had a 16-year-old dog who was, on death's door. And so the hospital told me, look, we can tell you're exhausted. We got there at like 11 o'clock at night. They didn't take him back until 1:30 in the morning. And so I was up with him all night. So the hospital, I was getting like maybe 4 hours of sleep a night because I had, or 3 hours or 2 hours because I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and do life again. So basically they said, go home, get some rest, and feed your dog, and come back like between 12 and 2 p.m. Because I said, I don't want to miss the doctor coming for rounds at, he's supposed to take meds at 8 a.m. I want to make sure that everything is taken care of, and I want to wait till he's transferred upstairs. And I'd let them know in the emergency room about the dose change with the medication and that it snowed him. So I said, please, and I'd even gone to the pharmacy and picked up the medication in the new dosage. So I'd have the label, because I just felt like a freight train coming at me. And I was like, I just feel like something bad's going to happen. I want to have all my bases covered, even though I could have just given him 2 pills of the stuff I already had. So I emailed Lori Berry, who is my dad's half sister, who lives locally where I live in Gardnerville, Nevada. And she is someone who teaches people how to become Catholic at her church. She is also someone who grows marijuana for her son to sell illegally. And she decided that I emailed her because when the last time I had seen her was the prior March, so like 9 months before. She went to court with me with the crazy neighbor. But she decided to believe every single thing that the crazy neighbor said, even though I had not known Lori from the time I was like, I saw her once when I was 15. So I hadn't really seen her from the time I was 8 until I was 38 years old and pregnant with my son. So I emailed her at 7 a.m. when I'd gotten home. And I said, look, I had to take my son to the hospital. I'm trying not to say his name for his confidentiality. But I said I had to take my son to the emergency room because he's become suicidal due to Lori Rivas, harassing him constantly. And he's asking for you. And I have Joey, my dog, at home, who's 16. So my hope was like, okay, obviously I'm going to have to come home at least once a day to feed the dog and let him out and whatever. So maybe she could be with him at the hospital while I was home. So I was wanting my son to have support, around the clock. I did not tell her what hospital he was at. So that's like 7 a.m. Fast forward to 10:30 that morning, that's Saturday, January 25th of 2025, which was the same morning that I'd had the conversation with the ER doctor in private around 1 in the morning, or 1:30. So I get a call at 10:30 in the morning from CPS saying that they had gotten a phone call from my aunt, and Lori is the only aunt that I have. I have others who are in Europe, so that's like, I knew it was her. And I guess she knew because she's lived in my area for 26 years. She knew that that was the only hospital that accepted pediatric admissions. So she told them, oh, I don't think Kate's coming back for him. And they had already spoken with my son. They'd already examined him. They said he is denying any type of physical or emotional abuse. He has 0 marks on him. And your aunt said that you had abandoned him. And I was like, what? I said, I literally was going to leave my house at noon to come back up to the hospital. And I had just laid down to try to go to sleep when I got this phone call from them because I'd already packed up all this stuff when I first got home. So basically, they told me, well, at the end, it was a Saturday. It was a weekend investigator. I don't even remember the person's name. And they said, before your son's discharged from the hospital, we're going to have to do a home study. And I said, look, the last time you guys came out here, he got super dysregulated. Is there any way you can come like right now? Like, I don't need warning. I don't care. I have nothing to hide. I'm trying to be as cooperative as I can. So like, is there any way you can like check my home today and then check my home again the day he's supposed to come home and maybe talk to him at the hospital or talk to him at a park or something where it's not going to dysregulate him in his safe place?
We're saying too much. We don't need to say too much. So all of this goes down.
Yep. And then I go back to the hospital. I think everything's normal for the 4 days that we're there.
Now, this is where I'm not sure. There's 2 different places where the social worker sent up red flags. I read the reports. I will be honest, I can't tell who's right on this one because they had said that right up until that moment, they had planned to send your son home with you. But during that phone call, you trauma dumped. You stayed on the phone for too long. She couldn't get off the phone. The call went almost 2 hours, and she believed you were manic. I saw that report.
That was the nurse that I actually spoke to, who was the charge nurse. And I was asking what he is in for his own safety. Am I allowed to bring shoes with shoelaces? Am I allowed to have a sweatshirt with a drawstring or pants with a drawstring? You know, are there certain items that are prohibited? But I also did let her know, oh my gosh, these people think I abandoned him when the specific nurse at the ER, and I remember his name to this day, told me 6 different times to go home over a course of an hour. So I finally went home. But
Right.
yes, I was
Now,
hyperverbal.
ever tell you that they did not believe your son qualified for admission?
Right. So when I was in the ER with him before I had gone home initially, the ER doctor who I had spoken to said, let me call the on-call pediatrician. So it was not our personal pediatrician. She said, I'm going to see if I can get authorization to place him on a hold because he doesn't qualify for admission. He doesn't have broken bones or a sickness or anything he needs to be here for. And she said, but just know that if he is on a psych hold, there's a possibility of CPS getting involved. She told me that at like 3 a.m. before she called the pediatrician. And I said, I have no problem with that because this is to protect my child and I haven't done anything wrong. So they kind of like warned me that it might be a possibility. But like I said, I didn't think it was a big deal. But yes, when I become...
Never think that CPS was going to be there to harm your child. You thought they'd be there to help.
Well, exactly, because I studied social work. I had a professor who worked for CPS, you know, who was like, you would be great, but just know people burn out really, the good people burn out really quickly, et cetera, et cetera. And because
you don't have any family really that you're close with or anything, right? You don't have anybody close to you that you can just, whenever you feel overwhelmed, you can just like, you know, talk to them and just, I mean, trauma dump basically. I mean, because my point is that like, yeah, they had a point that you may have been manic, but sometimes people just need to fucking.
No, and this is why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they thought, okay, we might need to put.
That's still not a reason to keep someone's child.
We're going to have a hearing in 72 hours and we'll be able to get to the bottom of this.
Right, because he was technically admitted very early on a Saturday morning. And so I do have PTSD. And so I even had my therapist, I was already in therapy. I had my therapist write a letter and she said, although Kate may appear to be manic at times because of being hyperverbal, it's really just a trauma response.
And you don't have anybody else to talk to. So I mean, obviously you're gonna let it all out with whoever will listen.
And the therapist, I did read the letter. I meant to have it ready to pull up, but that's just where I ran out of time today with so many things. But I read it, and it did say that she had been seeing Kate for years. This therapist, I want to say like 8. And that you had never shown any signs of personality disorder. You had never shown any signs of bipolar. You had never shown any sign that sometimes you can appear manic when you're overly stressed.
Yeah. Which is going to
happen when you're a single mother. You are already receiving therapy for it.
It's not wrong of somebody to be overwhelmed. It's not wrong of somebody. That's a normal human thing. I mean, we all get overwhelmed. We all become a little manic at times because life sucks and it's hard. And when you have an autistic child, it's even
stressful.
I mean, it is so hard. And you're a single mother. You have nobody else around you. You're very careful with who you have around your child. So it's not like you have people in your life that are all around you that you can do that with, that you can just let it all out and talk. So that what they did to you that's insane, in my opinion, because clearly you just needed a break for a second. You just needed someone to talk to for a second. And that's not a reason to keep somebody's child.
But they translated it into, I told them I needed a break. I never said I needed a break. I just said, I'm extremely overwhelmed. I've been dealing with these behaviors. I've been trying to keep him out of the hospital for the past 6 months. His speech therapist told me to have him admitted to the hospital on August 9th, which was right before the first false CPS report because of his behaviors. And so I just let them know, look, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not equipped to deal with these behaviors on my own anymore. So I basically let them know that my support system wasn't the best because I do have teacher friends here. But the thing is, all of them are married and have kids. And so I'm someone who, if you're married and you have children, I'm not going to call, during the week when I know darn well people are getting home at 6 o'clock and they have very limited time for dinner, bath, and bed, and maybe that's the only time they see their husband. So I'm very respectful of that.
Like you're bothering anybody. I mean, that's
right.
No, but she did ask the hospital if they had any resources to help her deal with her son's behavior.
Yes.
I mean, this is just
so
insane.
My aunt was the only person. She told me to move here when I lived in Florida. She said, I know your ex-husband's going to be a deadbeat once he leaves because he wouldn't get out of my house. So the only way to get rid of him was for me to literally, I was in an apartment, was to buy this house here and tell him I was moving to Nevada. And I dropped him off at his ex-girlfriend's house because I didn't want him to be homeless, because I realized that he had autism as well after Hunter was born. Or I'm sorry, my son was born. So basically, I didn't wish anything bad for my ex-husband, but my ex-husband's autism is like very severe, where if he didn't live with women, which he's done his whole adult life, he would be in a home. And so that's why with my son, I was so specific about really wanting that early intervention for him, because I said, I'll be goddamned if he's going to turn out like my ex-husband. Because my ex-husband didn't have any of those services, and there wasn't really that knowledge about autism. He's in his early 50s now, so back then when he was a kid, that wasn't a thing.
Right.
So my aunt had heard all about all this stuff, told me to move here. She's like, let's raise this baby together. I was able to leave him with her on occasion to run errands or to go to the grocery store, because with my son's sensory processing disorder, he had a really hard time.
Get into it. This podcast is going to go all night if we don't.
I know. Let's speed it up. But basically, my aunt had been a person that I could leave him with if I needed to run some errands without my son freaking out or whatever when he was little. And she was someone that I could tell about, like, I'm really stressed out about this, or I'm stressed that I have to take workers' comp and my job isn't accommodating me to allow me to remain at my job. So I'm taking a pay cut. Like, I'm stressed about money or things of that nature. So basically,
okay, I'm gonna answer this question. Autism, they're not sure if it is genetic or not.
Oh, it is. It's passed down through the father.
Research shows that 60 to 90% of risks for developing autism spectrum disorder is tied to genetic factors.
It is a risk factor, but they have not been able to determine specifically if it can be caused by environmental triggers. And
it influences autism. Genetics do.
Genetic disease. It had to have originated somewhere. They do believe there could be a possible environmental trigger in there somewhere.
People say vaccines. Some people say vaccines cause autism. I've heard of people having their children have like a regression after a certain shot series. But I can honestly say, from being a nanny and from being around like tons of newborns over my lifetime, I knew something was up with my son when he was 3 weeks old, because he could lay in his bassinet and amuse himself. Like,
that's not vaccines anymore. The people still say it, but the thimerosal was the trigger that they thought, and it is no longer legal in a vaccine, so it's not there anymore. But
I can tell you, my ex-husband has autism, and then he realized that his father has autism too, because they're like clones. So and from what the research I've done, it's passed down on the father's side. There's no one in my family, my nuclear family or my extended family, that has been diagnosed with autism. I have ADHD, so my son got like a double whammy. You know what I mean? Like, between the autism from his dad and then ADHD for me. There you go.
And kids with just ADHD are really difficult. Kids with just autism are very difficult. You got both.
And he's gotten a lot better since he's gotten older, like even in the past year and a half.
I am old school. I believe that a lot of the stuff that it's way overdiagnosed. A lot of it is just kids need to be kids. Right. And they have an outlet for aggression.
Back in the day, you were allowed to beat your kids too. So, I mean, a lot of people it was beat out of. But
I also think that school, you have to sit, you can't talk, you can't have recess, you can't do this, you can't play on a merry-go-round because it's the wheel of death. You can't, we overprotect kids these days. Let's face it.
And there's a reason for it. Of course, they had to make it illegal to discipline your children.
Now, once again, the bar. I had to put a warning label because everybody got so happy, but we're not going to go there. We're going to continue. So you get to court. Every reason that they have stated that your son is being removed is disputed.
Right. The 3 reasons were they alleged that I abandoned him at the hospital, which was because of Lori. Then they also alleged that I was failing to give him his medication properly. And the doctor said, no, there was a discrepancy between the dosages or the dosing for the medication because the doctor had like quadrupled the dose the day before the hospital. So the mom was just asking that the standard dose that she knew her son tolerated well be given. Then also in documents that you haven't seen yet, Amy, when the psychiatrist at the hospital, who didn't come into the picture until that Tuesday, so like the 28th, when she was there, she asked if she could call my aunt. And my aunt always said what a wonderful mom I was. I didn't know why she was mad at me, but she had severely mishandled a trust that I had. So I let her know that if she wasn't off of like certain documents, that I would have to take legal action. And I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to mess up her reputation with her church, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted her to work with me to come to an amicable solution. So basically my aunt, I thought, when it came down to my son's welfare and well-being, she could be mad at me for whatever dumb reason it was that I had no idea what the reason was. But it turns out she told the doctor that she had thought that my crazy neighbor's son, who doesn't even live in my area, had, quote, gotten me back into meth. And that in 2003, I had gone to rehab for meth when I went to a trauma treatment center. But my aunt had started talking to her sister, who I haven't spoken to since 1998, who's totally bad, crazy. And so and my aunt has kids who've been arrested for, heroin and whatever. So she's the one who parroted into Lori's ear that I had gone for meth treatment.
Know that Kate did have a childhood trauma that we have opted not to discuss because that's too much to unpack all in one episode. But it is a valid childhood trauma. She has done unbelievable work, and I think that has made her even more protective as a parent, that she is making sure her child would never have this same trauma.
Right. Thank you. So basically,
she has done everything right as a parent. She has. The only thing she did wrong in her case was told the hospital and CPS too much. Really,
everybody the truth. Way too much.
Because I thought I could trust them.
They're using your bad experiences in life as ammunition to hurt you even more with it.
100%.
They were victims.
Same thing narcissists
they were
do.
A victim.
So the third thing on the removal order was collaterals have indicated that there may be meth use involved. Well, CPS never even had me do a drug test until August of that year. So after he'd been in care for almost 8 months. So all 3 of the...
You offered that.
Pardon?
But you offered that.
Oh, I did. I said, take my hair. I said, I have super long hair. I take my hair like I don't do drugs. And they didn't take it. So then then that same day, that was April 11th of 25, I was given unsupervised visitation, and the judge substantiated that on January 25th, when I had that conversation alone with the ER doctor for like all of 10, 15 minutes, and let her know about his behavior so they could help him the best way they could, that I was civilly guilty of mental abuse / neglect of my child.
No, I read it and I couldn't believe it. It said mental abuse or neglect.
Like, which is it then? If you don't even know, why are you? Yeah, that's crazy.
I couldn't believe it. Literally said that they had valid reason to remove your child from your custody because you had mental abuse or neglect.
Right. When I was the person who said, hey, can we please walk down the hallway, because I will never say anything even honest about his behaviors in front of him, because I don't want to make him feel worse than he already does. Yeah, so there you have it.
Anyway, I mean, it's, adult conversations should be between adults and
children. Of course.
But
I mean, we had...
Right. That's all stuff that he wouldn't really understand. He would start beating himself up over it.
The doctors were willing to have the conversation in front of him, and she's the one
Yes.
that if they
Yes. So basically, long story short, that Tuesday, I met with the psychiatrist briefly. She came in at like 6:45 in the morning and woke me up because I was sleeping on the couch in my son's room. And she said she had to go do stuff, but she would be back at 4 o'clock. I let her know I had his entire IEP binder, which is individualized educational plan, and all of his testing reports and everything since he was 2 years old, and that I would be happy to bring it in. And she's like, yeah, it'd be great if you could go home and grab that for our 4 p.m. meeting. So I'm snuggling with my son at the hospital in the morning, just hanging out, thinking everything's hunky dory. I leave at like 1:30. I run home. I fed my dogs, took him outside, grabbed the binder, jumped back in the car, and went back to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I was met by Caitlin Loera, who was the investigator. And she didn't really tell me what was going on. But basically, she was just asking if I had anyone who could watch him for me so that I could have a quote unquote break. And I was like, not really. Like, I thought she meant for like 30 minutes or something. And she was asking if he was of Native American heritage. You're getting close, Amy.
I have her. I know I have it somewhere in here. Sorry, guys. Usually I put these each in a different scene, but we just ran out of time today.
I think that might be, is it all together? Because it might be not her. She's going to be the one after that. Not her.
It didn't upload in order for some reason. Is this her?
No.
Oh, that's the social worker.
No, she's a family support worker.
Definitely not her.
Not her either. Let's see. Do I have her in here somewhere? I guess I don't have her.
Is
on
it
here.
the one in the video?
No.
No. So Caitlin Loera was the investigator who met with me at the hospital at 4 p.m.
Okay.
I talked to her for a little bit. Then then I spoke to the psychiatrist afterwards, and she said, hey, I know you're really tired. I want you to go home and get some rest. And I said, I was already falsely accused of abandoning my son at the hospital. I'm not trying to go home. And she's like, I'm putting it in the chart that I'm giving you permission to go home. Please go home and get some rest and come back in the morning. And I said, okay. So I called my sister on the way home, and I found out, and I didn't leave until like midnight or 12:30 in the morning. I found out that the next day I found out, Wednesday morning, I found out because I wasn't going to call my family that late. I found out that Tuesday morning, prior to me even meeting with Caitlin Loera, that my mother, my aunt, and my sister had all been contacted by Caitlin asking if they would take my son. This is before I had the fake appointment with a psychiatrist that was really a setup for me to be interviewed by CPS. So while I was hanging out in the hospital until 1:30 that day with my son, that woman was calling my family trying to get them to take him. And my mom's 80. She has a husband who has dementia. And my stepbrother, his son, had just passed away like a month before this, unbeknownst to me. I had no idea it even happened.
Don't need to know everything.
So I'm just saying, my mother had a lot going on. She was not in a position to take my son. My aunt, Lori, the one you already had on the screen, refused to take him because she said she, quote unquote, didn't want to have to deal with me. So basically, that all just made things look worse. So that Wednesday, the 29th, I had a therapy appointment with the woman who wrote the letters. I had clothes in the wash that I was about to transfer to the dryer. So I was pulling into my house. I was going to put them in the dryer and then head to the hospital. And when I pulled into my driveway, Caitlin and 2 deputies were outside and served me with papers for the removal order that Judge Young had signed off on.
And this is the one that likes to lie and records.
Yes, she is the one who has been around for the past year in visits. She's a family support worker, so she's not even a caseworker. And the audio that I have of my visits completely contradicts what she writes down, but I feel bad for her because she's just the lowest on the food chain there and probably doing what she's told, but she should know better.
I mean, there's a million
know,
jobs
but
out
I want
there.
to just address this real briefly. One thing that Kate does have that is amazing is she records every visit with her son from the minute she gets out of her car, walking into the building, all the way until she leaves. She has a Claude that transcribes every meeting. It gives the psychological analyzation, it gives the behavioral analyzation. It is all third party, it's all independent, it's not like it's biased. And she can actually document every single visit from start to finish. When she meets with the attorney, she records. When she has, I've never seen such great documentation. It's
Thank you.
So we're gonna move on from there. So then after 72-hour hearing, they say everything that should mean you get your son back and it's over. But then
Right. I thought every hearing I had up through April when it was substantiated, I thought that surely this hearing, they're going to tell me he's coming home. And that's when in March, before the evidentiary hearing, I hired Sarah White, who you had a picture of, on a $30,000 retainer. She worked for my divorce firm, so I had faith in her ability to represent me. And it turned out she was a state attorney in Carson City, and I had the evidentiary hearing start in March with a public defender, and I told Judge Young I did not feel comfortable with his ability to represent me or even adequately question witnesses, and that I had retained Sarah White and would prefer if we could wait for the evidentiary hearing to take place once my private counsel was present. He was like, "You're right. It's not fair that the public defender never met with you before this morning, but we're going to go ahead with the trial anyway." So he did half of it in March, and then Sarah picked up the rest on April 11th. So it was like March 6th and April 11th. So about a 5-week span. So Sarah didn't even get to cross-examine the same witnesses that initially testified for the state because they were busy being doctors, or nurses, etc. And then after I was found guilty civilly, Sarah let me know that she'd only had 2 cases with DCFS before, but they were like obvious, where the parent had been gone from the house for a couple days, agreed to go do drugs, left the kids home alone, agreed to go to rehab, and they got their kids back. So I had no idea how green she was, and that she was consulting with my second attorney, Hava Ahmad, who you have a picture of as well, the entire time. And if Hava had known that I was a teacher, she would have had me plead to something or whatever, and I would have had my son back in a month, and I would have had nothing on my record, I found out.
and you would still be able to teach. You'd still be able
Exactly.
to
Because you're on the central registry now because of this.
Right.
And that's another thing that completely took away any chance for you to ever work with autistic or special needs children, special needs anybody, elderly handicapped and children.
Yep. And so what I really wanted.
I don't know who Hawa Ahmad is, but we do not wear 2 prints at the same time that do not match. This outfit, fashion tips. This is a hideous outfit. Not sure what you were thinking when you put that on. Probably don't have mirrors at your house because you're a cute girl, but the outfit's not working.
Well, an emphasis was on girl. She was very young, and she was good for another $90,000 over the course of a year, until this past June. So then
I want to go back to there was something you had said earlier.
Well, you spent $100 and how much $1,000 on attorneys?
$120,000 on attorneys and another $10,000 between the $7,500 for Joseph McEllistrom's fraudulent parental capacity exam, and then $2,500 for a neuropsychologist who said that I was in no way delusional. I definitely did not have bipolar disorder, which Joseph McEllistrom said I had bipolar disorder. So altogether,
have this report, and let's show who he is. And this Joseph McAllister.
God, I do not like that picture.
I know he looks
creepy.
He looks so creepy. And these are
like, hey, you want some candy, little boy? That's what it looks like to me.
No, he looks
Okay.
like his face is about to morph into like a reptilian or something. I don't know.
So this is who you hire to do your parental capacity report, correct?
Correct. I was told that he was better than going through GPS's people, and the judge admitted that he is best friends with him before we proceeded. So then Sarah White ended up quitting after I was assaulted by my second caseworker, Brittany Best.
Wait, hold on. I want to show this report that he does because this is important. His report's terrible. I'm going to just warn people in advance that when I read this parental capacity report of Kate, I was like, oh shit. Okay, she might be crazy. So bear in mind that these people lie. I'm going to hide the comments for just a second so that everybody can read this. This part right here at the bottom is what is very important. If y'all want to take a second to read this. He says, my findings will not support her goals and would not benefit the case if they were drafted into a work product for the court. Think she needs a clean start with a psychologist who can take a fresh look at the data and her history. There is no viable path forward in her relationship that will yield a positive outcome. I'd be happy to speak with you about this. So he basically said, I didn't finish it. I don't know what I'm talking about. This report is not valid. Is that what everybody else got from that?
That's what I got from that. I mean, he didn't.
Now, after he said she's bipolar, she's got personality disorder. What else did he? I can't. All of this stuff.
Well, basically, Amy, that is actually an email that he sent to Hava Ahmad saying, look, I'm not finishing her report. His report's a 27-page thing where not a single paragraph is factual.
Well,
so
that's enough right here because he said
right.
Combative. He's never in his 30 years of practice dealt with someone as difficult as you. You can't give a straight answer to anything. I can't even remember what else he said.
She can give straight answers. They just take forever for it to get there.
Yeah. Also, this was, keep in mind, when I met with him, I had just been assaulted by Brittany Best the day before. So my PTSD was in overdrive.
And should we show the video of you getting assaulted?
I would show a picture of Brittany, and then, or the video if you want.
Well,
that's Brittany.
She is the second case.
She admits in the video that she put her hands on you.
And which one is the first video and which one's the second?
The one with her
face up close.
I thought that was.
That's the first one.
That's the first one, yeah.
So this is the second one down here. And this is the first one right here. Okay.
I've told you multiple times to get out and given you many opportunities.
So I'm saying goodbye to my child. So you just need to put your hands on me.
You can walk away. You are not going to be
grab my arm
in front of your child.
You'll grab my arm. You do not grab my arm.
Get out of here.
Why did you grab my arm? You did not need to get out of the car. I was giving him a kiss.
I told you because you've had enough time to say goodbye. I've given plenty of time, and you need to go.
That was not necessary in front of my child. No, that was bullshit in front of my kid. And you know what? You put your fucking hands on me, you are fucking done, bitch. Done.
Yes, her mouth is foul here, guys, but
I was in fight or flight.
If somebody puts their hands on you
from behind,
you just, I mean, nobody has any right to do that. Nobody has any right to touch you. Whether
apparently with enough force to leave
out of her car, she should have called the police.
And I did call the police.
I mean, I'm talking about before she put her hands on you. She had no right to touch you.
There's bruises on her arm. That's how hard she grabbed Kate on the arm. I just want. It was a hard enough grab from behind to pull her off her child to leave bruises. And she was hugging her kid, buckling his car seat when she pulled him. Unfortunately, that part's not on camera. There is a very short clip where she knocks the phone out of your hand. But I'll be honest, you can't really tell what it is. That's why I didn't put it in there.
No, that's fair. So basically, I was buckling him in and my hair was over my face. So she just said, it's time to go, and then grabbed both sides of my arms and pulled me backwards. So I spun around because at first I didn't know if it was her. I didn't know if it was someone else in the library parking lot. Like, so I was amped up. I didn't swing at her, which I was proud of myself for. I've never hit anyone before, but like instinct, when someone grabs you like that, like it just really freaked me out. I made a police report and
anything wrong. We don't need to go any further than that. Let's go on to the next thing, because
the next video.
Been on here forever.
I don't know why it keeps moving me over here. I don't like it. I'm removing empty me. There we go.
You're not.
I think it's a placeholder for Dave because for whatever reason the system can't figure out that he's no longer with us. But with us, he is with us still.
Yeah, that came out wrong.
But the next video, right? The next video is of immediately after I recorded that, she hit the phone out of my hand.
You're traumatized. Let him say goodbye to me properly. Come on, he's gonna get upset.
Excuse me.
He's getting upset.
Excuse
please.
me.
He's hitting the door. Let me say goodbye to him, please.
No.
You're okay, baby. I love you. I love you. You're okay. Brittany, come on. Let me just kiss him, please. He's freaking out.
You have had your opportunity.
He's freaking out. Do not do this to him.
Because you are raising your voice and stating these
Could
things.
you put your hands on me? He saw you put your hands on me. He's gonna fuck you up, just so you know. He's gonna throw something at you. Brittany, he will throw something at you. Be careful. He will throw stuff at you. He will throw stuff. Be careful. Hunter, I love you. It's okay. I love you.
And he proceeded to throw stuff at her.
Yep. Because I know my child. I knew what was about to happen. But also, I'd only buckled him. I never gave him the hug. And so that's why he was flipping out.
And
that's why I was baiting her.
With an autistic child. I mean, he's gonna stew, and he's gonna stay focused on that, on not being able to have a proper goodbye, and that's not fair to him. I mean, if she wants to be in that line of work, then she needs to be prepared for these kinds of things as far as time. It's going to take some time to say goodbye.
I will say that after looking at the stuff that the social workers say, every one of Kate's visits, I've listened to the recordings for several and compared them to the notes that the social workers say. Kate is amazing with her son. She also stands up for her son because she does what a good mother would do. So she does light into them when she thinks they're treating her son incorrectly, which is where every negative note comes from. Never has anything to do with how she handled her son, but they do not like the way she is confrontational with them and has to be redirected because she doesn't like authority.
Yeah, and let's explain, though, why Kate's like that, because we know our children better than anybody does.
Well, and that was my point. Kate
to
is not trying to get custody of a CPS employee. She's
I
trying
don't
to
want
get
it.
custody of her child.
Right.
So if you're going to say something about how she treats her child, I'm willing to listen. How she treats a CPS worker that is not treating her child correctly.
Right.
I mean, could she do it a little better? I mean,
yes,
probably.
And no. Yes and no. I mean, you got to stand your ground. That is her child, and if they're not treating him right, she has every right.
But I mean, we probably shouldn't drop an F-bomb.
I mean, it's the animal in you just wants to rip people apart.
I'm just being.
I understand.
I mean, an F-bomb is probably not the best choice. But I mean,
yes, but also it doesn't matter how she handles it. It does not matter. They're going to find wrong in it. It doesn't matter how she handles it. She can handle it like a princess. And they're still going to find wrong in it. They're going to say she doesn't care enough.
Let's talk about that. Human torture. Watching someone else drive off with your child while your child just wants to go home. And you just want to take your child home.
And he's screaming, open the door. But she put the cop locks on so he couldn't open the door.
And one of my favorite things that Hunter does, because he is autistic, he speaks very robotically. I mean, her son.
You're good.
He speaks very robotically. But one of my favorite things about autism kids is that they cannot lie.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot do it to save their lives.
Nope.
And he will say over and over again, I don't even understand why you're doing this. My mommy never hits me. She's not, what does she say? She's not abusive and she doesn't even do drugs.
She's not crazy and she doesn't even do drugs.
Yeah, he says it like on a loop. It's
And
really
that just tells me that they're saying stuff about you in front of him.
But
how else would he know that that's what the accusations are?
Autistic kids get the loop, and that is his loop. Is he's like, my mommy is nice to me. She's not crazy, and she doesn't even do drugs. And he says it all the time. It's like, if this little boy knows, how can you not know?
And also keep in mind, this assault happened May 19th of last year. So like 14, 15 months ago. So yes, I was in a state of high trauma. I'm not proud of the fact that I cursed. I don't believe it's appropriate that I cursed in front of my child, but I also was in fight or flight. And so it was just like a whoa reaction. But ever since then,
you didn't ask for her to put her hands on you. You didn't do anything wrong.
Then she left. Brittany is no longer the caseworker.
The judge ordered her off November 24th because he said he wanted to give me a meaningful chance towards reunification, because Brittany's thing was always yelling at me in front of my son, and it would just give him a startle reflex and me a startle reflex. So I would tell her after a visit, because then I got switched to after she assaulted me, I got switched to two supervisors for supervised visits. And I have had two people, because they wanted me to be alone with her. And I said, I don't feel safe being around that woman. She grabbed me. I also did file a police report, which I sent you today, but you probably didn't have a chance to see it, where they said,
but I didn't have time to redact everything that needed to be redacted.
Right. Well, she said, Brittany told them that I reached into the car window, but you can clearly see that the door is open. And when she slammed the door closed on me and knocked the phone out of my hand at the same time, I didn't try to touch the car. I wasn't trying to pull open the door handle, even though he was freaking out. I wasn't trying to do anything wrong. And so then we had no caseworker from Thanksgiving until the beginning.
Going, and she was like, you need to call the police then.
Yeah, so I did call the police.
Worried at all that she just put her hands on you, like not even a little bit.
She knew the police weren't going to do anything.
Most to me, she did it because she knew she could.
Yep,
and not get punished for it.
And during that visit, she had threatened. We were at the library just with Brittany. She had threatened to end the visit 7 different times, just for like the dumbest little things that weren't even reasons to end a visit. And my son picked up a foam log and almost threw it at her. And I had to be like, please stop. We don't throw things at people. So it was already like, I already had enough. And when she grabbed me, he had said, please stop stop being such a jerk to my mommy. And I told her it's not necessary. He shouldn't even have to tell you that. That's my problem, is he picks up on your energy towards me. So I'd always pull her aside and be like, look, if you have something to say to me, say whatever you want to me when he's not present. But please stop doing this in front of him. It is not necessary and it's excessive. So Brittany's immediate supervisor's name was Jessica Karstens with a T. She was then, since when Brittany was removed in November, Jessica Karstens was the caseworker essentially from Thanksgiving until like the first or second week of January. Then Jessica got moved to a different division in DCFS or a different department, and Emily Conover took over. Brittany also lied on the stand in November when she was excused as the caseworker, because that's when they first tried to terminate my rights. Then Emily would always tell me, she was actually very nice, mild-mannered, and easy to get along with. And she always told me she saw what a strong bond my son and I have, and that she wanted him to be able to go home to me. Then I don't know who Emily's direct supervisor was, but then the new head of DCFS, the overall social services manager, her name is Mia Cousins, Kuzens.
He does not let her picture hit anywhere. I am putting out a challenge. If anyone can find a picture of her,
I can't find one.
Cards on the I couldn't find one either.
How do you spell
I'm going to post the business cards of the ones we couldn't find under the comment section on Facebook after this.
Perfect.
And I'm going to challenge y'all to, if anybody else has
spell her last name.
Kuz as in zebra, ENS. First name Mia, MIA.
Okay.
So Mia
Did
is
she
another
possibly
one.
get married and maybe her last name changed?
No, because I found information about Leslie that I probably shouldn't know, but I couldn't find a picture of Leslie either. That's why I had to take one at the pediatrician's office. So a lot of these people, that's Leslie, who's my current caseworker.
The
That's the
worst.
one?
She's
The worst. She
Oh.
was my punishment.
I was having fun with that picture the other night.
So was I.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So Emily was easy to get along with. I only had her for 2 months. And Emily's kind of direct acting supervisor was Mia Cousins. So now the chain of command is Leslie Warner is the caseworker who is talking to my child about adoption, telling him he can see me once a year or once a month if he gets adopted when our plan is reunification. And it's highly illegal to even speak to a child about that. The judge is not going to be happy because if he has a question about adoption, they should be saying, honey, don't worry about that because the plan is still reunification, even if they want to move to terminate my rights. So Leslie is actively mentally abusing my son. She also told him if he, quote unquote, gets emotional during visits, then he can only see me once a week.
Oh, you found one. Is that her?
Yes. Oh my gosh. You were a rock star. Kristen.
Is it
She
LinkedIn? I didn't get to LinkedIn yet. I had a feeling.
She wears her hair up, kind of how your hair is now, Kristen, a lot. And she's also a lot heavier. She's also a lot heavier than, no, your hair looks beautiful. She's a lot heavier than she is in her LinkedIn picture.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, get you a
So
glamour shot, Mia.
right. So Mia's always been super nice to me, but Mia's in charge. Then below her is a woman named Cassidy with a K. Cooley, Cooley. I can't find a picture of her to save my life.
I haven't even
And
Just give me the names.
yes. Then so
I can see
Cassidy
the business cards.
Cassidy is Leslie's direct supervisor. So Cassidy is someone I've told, look, tell me what you want me to do. Let me know, and I'm happy to complete it. And they intentionally have not let me know what they want me to do this summer. So that way they can go into court on Tuesday and be like, oh, she hasn't made sufficient progress with her case plan. She needs constant redirection. When I literally, yes, I was, not proud of my behavior in May of 2025. But for the past year, I have been on my P's and Q's. Every visit had said,
All of the business cards are the ones I don't have yet. I just sent it to you, Kristen.
but all of my visits, have not even required a redirection. They count a redirection as me saying, sure, honey, I'll buy you that book. And then them pulling me out of the room and saying, you're not allowed to buy him books. What are you talking about? And then 2 visits later, oh, you are allowed to buy him books just as long as you take them home with you. Oh, wait, just kidding. You can actually buy him books and let him take them to the foster placement if you want.
This is one of their tactics. It's so that you screw up and they have something to complain to the judge about when you're not doing anything wrong at all. They'll manufacture an issue out of your innocent actions. And that is very common. They do that quite often to people, but people don't really notice it until it's too late. I didn't notice it. I didn't realize it until like 3 years later. I was like,
but you also
oh
know
my God.
This is like triple trauma for an autistic child that is very used to structure, routine, knowing predictability, what's going to happen at every visit. So Kate is very mindful of that, as her psychological analyzation always says. This would comfort your son. It would reassure him. It would help his behavior. I don't want to get too much into the foster family because that is a gray area with CPS. If we were to give away any identifying information, we could get in major trouble. But they do have a very strange dynamic. They insist on him calling them mom and dad, which I have a big problem with. Especially since he doesn't have a dad at his house. I have a feeling that's one of their angles. This is his two-parent household. Kate luckily never signed that initial plan, but it does say on there that if he is with them for more than 14 months, then it is presumed that removal from your home is in his best interest. We are at 18 months now, so that's terrifying.
So the judge gave more time and wanted me to do a program that I didn't get accepted into. So I asked DCFS. The judge said he would give me weekends with Hunter, or my son, in August at our next court date if I had no redirections over the summer and if I completed that program. Well, since I wasn't accepted into that program, DCFS has promised me multiple times that they would let me know what program they would let me to do instead of that, and they refused to let me know. The supervisors are always busy. They always say on audio that they're going to email me, and they don't. That would be Leslie who said she would email me on July 17th. She said she would let me know later that day. Never did. Also, my son...
a little bit in email too, because I said, of course, we're all looking out for the best interest, right?
I love that email that you sent her.
Well, and Leslie also decided to change visitation, claiming that that's what my son wanted, that he didn't want to see me, but I wasn't allowed to talk to him about it. Turns out my son found out on Monday, this past Monday, 3 days ago Monday, after they took him on a 4-hour shopping spree and into In-N-Out and all of that stuff. So when I arrived at my visit, he wasn't allowed to open his toy until he got into the visitation room, even though he'd been with them for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, they intentionally tried to mess up that visit on every level, and then...
Yeah, they do it to create...
My favorite part of the visit is...
know how you react to things.
He said he really had to poop, but he didn't want to lose any time.
Poor baby. And so that's a kid who, like, he'll say... if I leave the room to go to the bathroom, can I get my minutes back? That's not a child who doesn't want to see his mother. And there's so many studies showing that supervised visitation long-term is not in the child's best interest. And Leslie made it clear to him a couple weeks ago that she's watching, well, she's maybe there like a third of the time, but they have someone watching you through a baby camera. And then they have Kelly in the room, the one who you had the picture of, who writes the lies in the reports. And Leslie also writes the lies in the report.
Great. So
there's also another worker named Ashley Starr with 2 R's, who is a family support worker who's more palatable than Kelly. Kelly used to be really nice, but I've watched her personality change the longer she's been there.
I had the same exact situation. And I don't mean to talk about me, but I do want for everybody who's watching to know that this isn't just a Kate thing. This does happen. Where with the lying, I had a substitute caseworker come in for one of my visits and watched. And at the end of the visit, they have the piece of paper with everything they wrote down. And it says in it that I told my daughter to shut up. Never once did I tell my daughter to shut up at all. I don't say that to my kids ever, so I'm like, I didn't say this. And I'm supposed to sign it? I don't think so. I'm not signing that. And I
can tell you right now that Kristen doesn't say shut up. She says shut the fuck up.
I say shut the fuck up. But I don't
well, and that's the thing is that, whenever my son brings something up on his own, I'm very careful. Like he says, "Oh, mommy, when I come home," he said this on Monday, "when I come home, can we watch like this TV show?" And I am very careful to say, "Mommy would love to watch TV shows with you." But I don't say when you come home. I'm not making false promises. But the thing is, I haven't even gotten DCFS's document prior to this court date that's coming up on Tuesday. I'll probably get it in the mail Tuesday afternoon or Monday right beforehand. And my public pretender will have gotten it already, but God knows if he's even read it yet. He has 250 cases. He's extremely busy. So basically...
And kind of rude.
Yeah, I would say rude. But I'm trying to give him the notes from the whole summer. So that way, when they say, since our last court date, I've needed all of these redirections, he can just flip to the page and be like, well, actually, her transcript says da-da-da-da-da happened. So like when my son brought up adoption, DCFS, which was Cassidy Cooley and also Leslie Warner, Leslie said that the day he brought up adoption, the last 2 minutes of the visit, she told the CASA worker that the visit last Friday and the visit this past Monday were both horrible. And We had a phenomenal visit. My son brought up adoption, and I said, Mommy's really sorry that Leslie brought that up to you because that's not appropriate. And they're doing things that are called not legal. And she should tell you that reunification is still a plan. And I'm sorry that she worried you about that, honey. That's not okay with Mommy. And
you're abusing him. That is mental and emotional abuse right there.
And Leslie is
they are being mentally abusive and or neglectful.
But also in the foster home, he is being told things that are not okay, and then DCFS asks them, like he's starting to internalize negative comments about himself that could only come from an adult. And like being told he needs to fix his relationship with a foster mom by the foster dad. You don't tell a 7-year-old that. Like, that's not a 7-year-old's responsibility. His teeth aren't getting flossed. The dentist said he has a tremendous amount of tartar. His gums were bleeding. The foster mom tried to gaslight me and said his gums weren't bleeding. And I was like, you were too busy talking to Leslie to even hear what the hygienist suggested. And that's why I've sent bags of floss picks multiple times since then. I asked my son, have you been flossing? Nope. Because he's honest. Yeah.
Out of your recordings and stuff of the visits, you do have him talking about adoption, right?
I have him talking about adoption. I have him disclosing abuse happening in the foster home that I honestly don't believe the foster parents are bad people. I don't believe that they're even aware that what they're doing is inappropriate. I think it's just the way that they parent their own kids.
And that's fine and dandy, you know.
But it's still mental and emotional.
They have a way of parenting their kids.
And they also
whatever, and it's nobody's business really, except for yours.
They also have
your child's in their home.
Autism level, and they
may also not know how to deal with him.
High functioning and on a level that his autism is very mild. They're downplaying it big time. They're trying to just pretend like he doesn't have autism. And I don't mean to be ugly. I've told Kate this. It is.
But I agree.
It is obvious that he has
autism. I mean, like,
it's obvious.
Like,
yeah,
he made up the autism is kind of how they're acting.
And that's not their place to do that. That's not their place to decide.
The state took away his leg braces.
They did have some state evaluators say that he's like a level 1 now.
Yes, and he was diagnosed at a level 3 when he was 3.5 years old, which level 3 is the most extreme, just for people who aren't familiar with the levels. So they're acting like...
Do they think that they're smarter than the doctors? Is that what they... Are they?
It was a state contracted worker who diagnosed him as level 1.
Who we have no idea what kind of qualifications they have to even diagnose.
Right. But then also with his medication, the psychiatrist didn't want his medications to be changed at all. He takes one for ADHD and he takes clonidine, which helps just with like anxiety and just overall stuff. My poor child's fingernails are chewed to the as short as you could possibly chew them. He's picked all of his cuticles off.
My husband's, because he has OCD.
And my son has OCD tendencies too, but also he's now picking his scabs off because he's so anxious. And when I ask him, honey, like, what can we do instead so you're not chewing your nails? And he's just like, I don't know. I'm just doing it because I'm anxious because I miss you so much. And, you know, it's like, I'm watching my son like this be actively mentally and emotionally abused by the state as well as the foster parents. And also just from their style of parenting, like it's no screen time, no sugar, no nothing. And like they take the stuffed animals away because he pretend plays in bed. And so they take every single comfort item away from him as punishment. And for a kid with any kid, if they have a special, like he gave me his very favorite stuffed animal at the beginning of the summer because he was afraid they would quote unquote throw it out. So he's not allowed to have things unless they fit in a small box. And so he's not, I couldn't even give him things for Valentine. He went to the foster home in September. He was in a group home for 234 days before that. So I was very glad that he was going to a foster home. And I've said nothing but positive things about them to him. But Leslie Warner.
Have you ever looked at the requirements of a foster parent, because it specifically does say in the requirements that what their job is to be supportive of the mother, to be supportive of the parent, and to help. They're supposed to be coaching you, basically, like cheering you on and being supportive. That is literally part of their job as a foster parent.
Supposed to do, and what they actually do rarely ever.
Exactly.
Well, here's the other fun part.
They're showing that they need to be fired. They should not be allowed, or uncertified, whatever you want to call it.
He's their 13th in like 7 years.
Wasn't it?
Pardon?
What?
In Kristen's case, it was an adoption agency that actually.
Yeah, that had my case.
My son's foster parents are employees of DCFS.
Anything to do with it.
Okay.
And so when my son disclosed abuse and was very dysregulated afterwards, Leslie held it against me. That was on July 10th. Leslie held it against me and said it took her a whole hour and a half to get him regulated afterwards. And like, it's my fault that he's spontaneously bringing up that, you know, he's in a really bad spot and has a funny feeling in his tummy. And he pretends he's fine even when he's not. All of which AI said, which is unbiased, you know, AI said that he feels the need to mask who he is, which autistic children already have to mask just to fit into general society. So it's emotionally exhausting. So Leslie says, oh, well, he takes a deep breath after a visit. She announces her presence by speaking through the baby camera. He never knew that someone was watching through the baby camera until Leslie decided to be like, it's time to go now, the other day. So, you know, she's making, both of us are on like high alert during visitation. And, you know, the thing is that Leslie's encouraging him to stuff his feelings. I take a deep breath after I walk out of that room. My kid's preparing to go back to a place that AI says like is not supportive of his best interests at all. And when he's with me, he's able to be himself. He feels safe. I explain things on a developmentally appropriate level. It says basically what a great mom I am and how nurturing I am and what a great bond we have. So also he's being taken away from his mother again for like, you know, we've done this twice a week. Now it's once a week for the past 18 months. So that means he's been ripped away from his mom how many times? And also, side note, when he was originally removed, when I was served those papers on a Wednesday, those geniuses decided to tell an autistic 5-year-old that he was about to go into a group home. They wouldn't let me visit him that day, even though there were people supervising in the hospital. He sat there for over 24 hours by himself, freaking out about being put into a group home. And they were okay with that. And so it's like, because I was honest and tried to get my son help. I mean, all three of his therapists, his occupational therapist, his speech therapist, as well as his physical therapist, all testified on my behalf during the evidentiary hearing, saying they're mandated reporters and that they've had to call CPS on people. They've never had a single concern about me. There have been days that have been snow days where they said the barn was closed because half of it was done on horseback, half was in the therapy room. And they're like, hey, the barn's closed, the appointment's in 45 minutes, but we can just come to your house. The physical therapist testified that my house was set up like a sensory gym for my son, and that I'm the only parent that she has who has all of the necessary therapeutic tools present in my home, that I had a trampoline in the middle of my living room, I had a crash pad, I had a sensory swing, all of the things, and that, you know, zero concerns about me, where she's called on other people.
Every bit of that was to help this kid cope, help him to
Yes,
thrive and to get through every day without traumatic experiences. And it was all
I'm still traumatized by Hunter saying he didn't get to do this stuff because he's pathetic.
He fell on the 4th of July on a Saturday, and I saw him on Wednesday. He told me he, quote unquote, fell into a thorny bush. He had literal splinters on the inside of his ear right here, where it was like sticking out on the rim of your ear. And I noticed in the first 15 seconds. We went to the dentist after that. I pointed it out to Leslie. I pointed it out to the foster mom. And the foster mom's like, oh, I never noticed that before. Then the next visit on the 10th of July, Hunter said that well, dad helped me get the splinter out of my ear, and he told me I need to make things right with blank, the mother. So my son refers to the foster parents as dad and then the woman's first name. And supposedly they have all this training with autism, and they have 3 bio kids and my son. And I can tell that their son he's on the spectrum somewhere. So I honestly feel bad for him because they have zero understanding of what is needed to make those kids feel supported. But the thing is, I'm afraid if I had done a police report, then my son would have been retaliated against. By
this
them.
is just a typical, them directing the funding, the government funding in the wrong.
But what did he say? I didn't get to watch the fireworks because I'm pathetic.
Yes, but the other kids did get to watch the fireworks. They took them to Lake Tahoe, which is like prime firework viewing area, and my son was punished and had to go to bed, but the other kids got to stay up to watch the fireworks. Like my son has all these injuries because these geniuses decided, that's what I was starting to say about a psychiatrist. They decided they didn't want him on any of his meds. But the psychiatrist was like, well, if you want to take him off one, I don't really think it's a great idea. And I have this on audio too, but you could try taking him off the ADHD medication. So now he's having behaviors, which are why we got into the hospital to begin with. And he's being punished for them. But they think if they take him on a 3-mile hike, they could exercise it out of him. And so basically he also has, it's not, they think if he's tired, he'll behave. So they're just looking for him to be compliant. So my poor kid is being told that he's pathetic, he's clumsy, and that he's dramatic. Those are things that child does not naturally say. We do positive affirmations together every day we're together. My house has visual schedules, so he knows exactly what's happening and in what order. He has no idea what's going on there, and that gives him anxiety. Leslie keeps it so he doesn't even know when he's seeing his mom next, which he always says, how many more sleeps till I see you? And so I already know we're going to walk into court. They're going to move to terminate my rights again for the 3rd time, which the judge did not allow the past 2 times. But I've done everything on my case plan. Part of my case plan, with the exception of doing individual therapy with my son. And this man, he's had my son in state custody for 18 months. He's profiting off of my son being in state custody. Every single bar car holder in that room is profiting off of my son being in state custody.
You walk into that courtroom and you need to ask the judge, do you have a financial interest in my case? Somebody needs to try it. I've watched it on YouTube before, and the guy actually got out of whatever his situation was. It didn't even get that far to let us know what he was even in court for, because what he said when he said that to the judge, it worked. Do you have a financial interest in my case?
If he recuses himself, there's only one other judge here, and my county is so corrupt that I don't know if the other judge is like the worser of the evils.
Well, either way, it's not just the judge. It's
the other judge has a financial interest too. So they have to turn your
everybody in that courtroom. You ask everybody in that courtroom, does anybody in this courtroom have a financial interest in my case?
Everybody
from my child.
The only one who doesn't is CASA, and they love you.
Yep. And they've told me that the schedule over the summer was to suit the foster parent schedule. So DCFS wasn't really looking to support reunification at all. They have not made reasonable efforts. They didn't even make reasonable efforts to prevent him from being removed from my home. They just jumped to removal.
That's what I was starting to say a little bit ago. This is a typical, they could have took that funding instead of paying the foster parents and helped you mentally.
DCFS employees.
They could have given me, I said I needed respite care. That's where they got the I needed a break from. I was saying I don't have anyone to help me, but I need respite care so I can, for an hour here and there, so I can decompress, so I can continue to be the best mom I can be to my son. Because that's my only goal.
It's like they punish you. Like I know a girl in California who went to the doctors because she had postpartum depression. They yanked her kids. Instead of helping her, they yanked her kids, gave her a case plan. She completed it. And because she doesn't have a car or a driver's license or whatever, her kids are up for adoption now.
Right. So, and then also they have these concerns about my mental health. It even says in the paperwork that I didn't meet the criteria for an involuntary hold. So then, but
if
you
don't
take
meet
my
the
kid.
criteria for that, then
And they also ordered a therapy that she doesn't qualify for because she doesn't meet the criteria to have this therapy.
exactly. So if you're not meeting the criteria to need these things, then clearly there's not an issue.
But
Right.
they've given me zero. It's from McAllistrom's fraudulent report when he decided I had all these disorders that I don't have.
But
And
he
so,
he didn't complete the report, but they admitted it into the record anyway.
but that was an email that was between my old attorney and him that she forwarded to me and told me not to give to anyone. So you people are the only people who've seen it. The judge doesn't even know about it. I've said he never completed his report. None of this is accurate. He didn't ask me anything past the age of 23. He didn't ask me anything about parenting. He didn't ask me anything about anything. And he even admits in that email that the visit with my son, where he supervised us, at a park, was the only time where I seemed calm. Guess what? My son is like the driving force for calm in my life. You
Let me
take away
guess.
someone's
Tell me,
job and their kid.
As far as he got, I'm just taking a wild guess here, is asked you about your family's health history, and like mental health history, even physical health. And whether or not you grew up with both parents in the home is probably as far as he got, right?
Pretty much. He also asked about childhood trauma, which I said, yes, I did have it. But then he spoke to my aunt. And so my aunt, Lori Berry, backpedaled on the whole meth thing and said, oh, that was just a rumor. And so then he invented this whole thing that my mom and my sister are concerned about that, like, they weren't even aware of. So they could, and I didn't tell him that either. So Lori was making up stories to him. And then he was, putting it in the report to fill in the blanks, which apparently his reviews say that from other people say that he would fabricate things and add on to supplement information.
Doc reviews and his health grades. And apparently this is very common with that doctor. He fills in blanks of things that they're like, I don't even, and one of them in your report, I can say this one because it's not true, said that you accused your mom of molesting you. You never did that.
No, she never did either. So, and he said from certain ages, when we had an au pair and my sister was a baby and my dad was away at work all the time. So I literally said to Hava Ahmad, like, you're allowing this to be admitted. You're supposed to be my attorney. He's admitting he did not finish the report. Why aren't you letting me just get a different parental capacity report? And I said, what, did my mom have a lemonade stand while she was taking care of an infant and just like solicit people to abuse me? Like, what the hell are you people even talking about? So like, basically my aunt was mad at my mom for my parents getting divorced, 35 years ago, and decided to talk a bunch of crap about my mom. So the parental capacity guy said, oh, well, her son's in danger because she's going to repeat those same patterns with him. And it's like, no, I won't, because I do everything the polar opposite of what my parents did.
I did the same thing.
Right. And you never said that your mom abused you.
No way. Absolutely not.
Whatever the hell will to make it fit the narrative of what they listen.
That was just
drug tests.
That one was literally just, let me just make something up.
Oh yeah, they do that off the top of their head. It's fucking insane.
All I disclosed is I was molested by a neighbor as a kid. That's the only thing I said to him. And then I said something traumatic that happened that I was when I was in college, that I was in the middle of litigation for at the time. And had just been deposed for, it was an assault at a Catholic college. And I'd just been deposed for it 3 days before Brittany assaulted me. So she knew I just relived a brutal assault where my skull was fractured and all these things happened. And then decides to grab me from behind. So yeah, that's why I was cursing. So it was all very, like, once you step back, it's all very calculated. But he put in all this stuff that never even happened, and I never said.
It's called victim blaming.
Well, yeah, the prosecutor, the DA, victim blame me and victim shame me in the courtroom. And so now I'm supposed to turn in this fraudulent.
At one point in your life, you are not a qualified parent, then not one single person in this entire country is a qualified parent. Because we've all had.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Trauma.
And like I said, your child better than anybody does. There's no reason why they should. They cannot come into your life, never speaking with you before, and just decide what's best for your kid. it's not right. It's not
They
right.
decided they were taking him before even speaking to me. But a lot of it probably has to do with the fact that that crazy neighbor said a bunch of junk that wasn't true about me, and Judge Young signed off or didn't grant the restraining order. But then he sees my name again, looks me up, sees that BS restraining order, and signed off on the removal.
Look at this. I've been tallying this whole time how many things are similar in my case that are in yours, that things that that were done to you that I have almost the exact same thing in my case happened to me. That's 5, 10, 15, 22 things.
Jesus.
And this was just a 2.5 hour podcast. That's not even the whole story.
That's not even the whole story. I mean, Amy and I know more, but
comments saying yes, that happened to me. Yes.
I've been sitting here tallying it the whole time, and
I told you my story on the phone, Kristen.
Identical stories, only just different people. The things that they did to me, and the things they did to you.
And
if anybody wants to argue with me that this is an actual, and these are actually like thought out plans of theirs, I'll win that argument.
But sure. I know Kate, I know Kristen, I don't know Dana as well, but I've talked to Dana. I have a pretty good feel of her personality. Y'all are not at all the same. So how are they treating us?
How is it that our cases, and they're completely different cases? I mean, yours is a medical kidnapping. Mine was over an eviction.
This is their pattern. This is what they do. It has nothing to do.
It's all tactics. They're tactics.
It's their cookie cutter playbook that they apply to every situation. And when they have nothing on you, they say mental health. Even though my PTSD I had worked through, the only thing I had going on was being harassed by the neighbor and trying to protect my son. And that woman literally said, I can't believe he's gone. Like, can't I just write a letter to the judge to make it better? But by then I was like, no, that's not how it works. And she goes, I don't even remember making that CPS report, blah, blah, blah. And, and the problem is I tried to explain to her the points she would have to make, even if it were not to make a difference. She has a 2-minute memory. She can't track anything. So it's like you're having a conversation with a brick wall. And it's like, I've become a pariah in my own community because people assume I must have done something horrible.
So you had a CPS situation prior to the hospital over a call from somebody who's not even
there,
credible in any way, shape, or form. Can barely.
She was crazy when she was sane. You know what I'm saying? Like her ex-husband said she's mental, and then she does.
The fact that you have had that previous CPS report.
Kate was levitating. There is a literal police report that Kate was levitating. She called the police because Kate was levitating. And
I mean, that's not funny, but it's funny.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It is, but it's not at the same time. I want to laugh, but it's that ridiculous. And nobody was like, oh, hey, we should probably check the credibility of this woman because she's saying
Kate was confess because they want you to confess to something that you did wrong. And I think you should go into that corner and say, I did levitate.
But the thing is, I've met one other person in my community who literally, I just said I had a situation with my kid, a court situation with my child. And she goes, do you have Judge Young? Because 15 years beforehand, he had screwed with her. When she literally, all she did was go to court because her child wanted to live with the other parent. And she wanted to make sure that with child support and all that stuff, it was done lawfully.
Though, I mean, come on, Amy.
What?
I think people need to know who he is.
Reptilian face off the screen.
But that's him. We got to talk about him.
I know.
But the thing is that my son's court-appointed attorney met with him one time. My son has asked for his attorney over and over and over. And I even told the judge, like, this man has not met with my son. The judge ordered him to meet with my son in March. Has it happened? No. My son said, Mom, I want to talk to my attorney. And I've only talked to him one whole time. And that was last April. And he's right. It was last April.
And if this judge wants to preserve or rescue his own reputation in any way, he better do the right thing and hold those people accountable, just like they're doing to you over things you're not even doing wrong. They're manufacturing issues out of your innocent actions.
I'm going to tell y'all, because I have not stopped today, and I need to pee at this point. So we're going to be wrapping it up pretty soon. I have drank an entire 32-ounce Diet Coke.
You poor bladder.
Coffee here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I believe that Judge Young has allowed this to go on for too long, but they've milked as much federal funding as they can. I really implore him to do the right thing because my son is not benefiting from being in the situation he's in. I'm not benefiting from having my son gone.
That child. They're creating horrible memories that he should never have had to have.
He doesn't even dislike you. So,
I know. What if he disliked me? What would he be doing to me then?
Right. Jesus.
He doesn't even dislike you. So, Judge Young.
I mean, he might have just been saying that because it makes him look like he's, neutral or I don't know. But
Judge Young, I mean, if you want to save your reputation, we can make you famous, or you can make yourself famous for being such a great guy.
Because I won't leave you alone. I won't.
I know,
I will
but
create
we want
video
him to
after
do
video
this.
after
We're
video
not
after
sure
video
if
telling
it's
the
good or
whole world
bad.
how
You want to go
corrupt you are.
fame, or do you want to go shame? It's all in your
We
hands.
love putting judges and good people on the wall of fame.
And
love
maybe Leslie Werner won't eat you. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. Anything's possible because I've been afraid she was going to eat my own child at times.
That was, oh my gosh, when I said I was having fun with that picture, that's what I was doing. Not making her
one of
kid,
the visits,
but putting like next to it, like a little thought.
no, but
I
one of
wonder
the
what you taste
visits,
like.
they went to Wendy's. I'm gonna be mean now. This is me being petty. But on one of the visits, they went to Wendy's, and Kate and her son had a Frosty, and she had 8 cheeseburgers.
And had no shame about ordering herself like $35 worth of Wendy's. And like had this look of glee on her face. And here's the thing, I don't ever like to body shame people, but you know what? I can tell every single person at DCFS is freaking miserable because they're all fat cows, literally. And it's because they go home and they know what pieces of garbage they are, and they're shoving their faces every night. And it's like they think it makes them feel good to have an ounce of power.
There's no pride. That's why they go around with the egos that they have. They're not even a real ego. It's all for show.
And I'm absolutely not fat shaming anybody. I'm as fluffy as they come.
I'm fluffy too.
I have a fluffy butt. And that's it.
I used to not be fluffy, but I don't know what happened in the last year. Something went way wrong. 50 is not nice, but
it's real. I gained 60 pounds from the stress of this and developed autoimmune disorders I'd never had. My blood work was perfect right before my son was stolen. I have Hashimoto's now, which isn't treated properly yet. All kinds of stuff. So like, this is literally killing me. Like the stress of this is killing me. How is that helping my family?
It's
and
not
also
helping anyone, and it's definitely not what's best for
it's helping the CPS workers
and
get
this
paid.
is the other thing that I really want to bring up, because we are spending a ridiculous amount of money of our own Social Security. That's everyone in this country. I introduced Kate to the Administration of Families and Children, which has spent so much money on research, and they have professional doctors, and wherever their advice is taken, I would like to live in that utopia, because it's all great recommendations, and we do the exact opposite.
Yep. It's literally insane. And the fact that it just continues on and on and on, it's like, I'm not really like interested in going to court and then having my public defender who refuses to even look at my visits, say, oh, I need an evidentiary hearing in 6 weeks when I'm available to do this. Meanwhile, my son rots in foster care for another 6 weeks.
Yeah, and emergency whatsoever.
And the whole point of this whole
definitely not looking out for anyone's best interest other than their wallet.
Yeah, the whole point of the whole 14-month thing is so that kids don't rot away in foster care. They want to get them adopted sooner or out of foster care sooner. And bullshit. shit. Because if that was
And
the
if
case,
y'all did not
they'd be
read
going
that
above and beyond to make sure they can go home.
I
But
hope everyone read the comments under the article that I posted today. It was somebody else posted. I approved it and I read it and I was so disgusted.
Me too.
I went to the original source of the article and people believed that they were holding CPS accountable and DHS accountable. And I'm like, if they find them, that's your tax dollars that are going to pay the courts. So they're just exploiting this poor girl again in her death. This is not accountability. This is
It's not at all, because they have what's called qualified immunity, and judges have judicial immunity, and it's like these are people who should not have any sort of. Their jobs are so important that they should be the only ones that don't have any sort of immunity.
But they're fining these people $1,000 a day for not complying with FOIA requests. They're not paying that out of their pocket, people. They're
It's our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah. That is once again your tax dollars going to bar card holders.
Mm-hmm.
And
how much do they make, Amy?
Covering that one? Oh, the media didn't get paid off to not cover that.
How much is the annual expenditure for child welfare, Amy?
$1.25 trillion.
That's trillion with the T, people.
T, yes.
That's insane.
And
they're still asking. They still ask for more money for the foster system.
When I ran the numbers, I had been saying it was a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I was proven wrong. I apologize.
Yeah,
it's worse.
It's worse than what you said.
I thought it was billions. It's trillion.
Yeah.
Well, and how about this too? This is my final point here, is that, DCFS's mission statement says that they're there to help children and families and to reunite whenever possible. Why is it that I've never once gotten a single referral from them? Not even where to take an online parenting course. I had to find it and pay cash myself. I paid cash for
of the government funding. 7% is all that goes towards keeping the family united. Referrals.
Yes, and I read on their own website that they absolutely do everything they can to provide services in home and not remove the child from the home.
That's a lie.
It's always in the child's best interest to stay at home.
They can't even tell me.
That.
Right, but they can't even tell me, call this place and take a parenting class that's not affiliated through them. They've given me zero help, zero resources, zero anything. They've done nothing but attempt to set me up for failure. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, if I was some mental case, wouldn't I have already wound up in the hospital in the past 18 and a half, almost 19 months of my child being stolen from me and living in absolute misery every single day?
Okay, but
I've not been hospitalized.
A full-blown drug addict.
Let's also talk about,
if you weren't a good mom, you would be letting this shit get to you way more.
And I'm passing every drug test they give me.
You own your home. You're not financially wealthy, but you're not struggling.
No.
I mean, your child doesn't. He has
one for anything
and everything he needs. Probably more than half of everything he wants because you have an entire sensory gym.
That's my favorite famous thing is kids should always have everything they need and half of what they want.
And CPS even said this kid has more toys than anyone we've seen before when they came for the unfounded, the lie that the neighbor told. So they've known that.
Bottom line is there is no
how many kids in this country are with their parents that would kill to have the stability that this kid had?
Maybe we should all meet up in Nevada and just stand outside the CPS building and
it's not like you don't have a home. It's not like
give him back.
You can't
give him back.
It's not like you can't. There's thousands of kids that can't have what, but not because the government just came and stole them.
Well, and the whole reason I bought my house and I paid cash for my condo. So that way my child would never have to worry about having to constantly move if mommy couldn't make rent because life happened or the mortgage or whatever. I bought this place, sunk everything I had into this house. So that
You know
way
what?
he would have stability.
You know what you need to do, Kate? This is homework, okay? You should apply to be a foster mother.
She can't.
I'm not kidding.
Because that,
Nevada doesn't let you.
Listen, just try it anyways. Just seriously, do it. Because I guarantee you they will end up letting you go through all the certification process and everything. Listen, I looked it up in Michigan to see if it was possible that I could be a foster mother in Michigan, even though my parental rights have been terminated. And because I was just sitting there one day, like, you know, I got a 4-bedroom house. You know, what I need to have kids around me. I'm supposed to be a mom. I'm very nurturing, you know, and I'm like, I wonder if it's maybe since it's been so long, if maybe they would let me, you know, because they're so desperate for foster homes. So I looked into it, and it said, and I found out that just because your parental rights are terminated, just because you've had a CPS case, just because even if it's ongoing, does not disqualify you as to be a foster parent. So just try it, just for shits and giggles, and if they end
That's
up
what I was going to say.
for data purposes, but you should try it. Just do it.
But I know if I were to go apply at any school, I'd get rejected immediately. And that's what sucks. I haven't been able to work this entire time that he's been gone. I'm on the central registry now.
Yeah, well, we know of quite a few people that are on central registry, and a couple of them are teachers.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I know from my old job at the preschool where I got paid next to nothing.
Huh? What, Amy?
the most evil human being I know is a special ed teacher.
And that's the
And
thing.
just
I
not have
wanted
their kids.
I wanted to get my teaching credentials so that way I could be a special ed teacher and be on the same schedule as my son and always, like, you know, be nearby, which is why I took my job being a preschool teacher, making next to nothing, because I could still be there for him. I mean, my work had meetings about my child's behavior, and DCFS is trying to act like, you know, he's biting kids, hitting kids, whatever, because he didn't have words. And yeah, he's, because of the therapy we did, he's progressed a tremendous amount. But DCFS was literally trying to act like I had Munchausen's and was making up everything about him.
I'm sorry, this is not in any way an insult at all, because your son is absolutely adorable, and every child.
Oh, I don't take it as insulting at all.
Every child is a blessing. Every child. I feel like I love him, and I don't even know him. So
He's so
but it is
cute.
obvious that there's things wrong with him. It is obvious. Huh?
I said, I love him because when he said I'm pathetic, it broke my heart. No kid should ever say that about themselves.
No.
And where is he hearing that? It's not for me.
Right. And let's also go back for 1 second to you saying you do like the positive what do you call
Every
it?
morning he'd repeat positive affirmations. I do it during visits too. Say, I am kind, I am loved, I am strong, I am smart, I am brave.
Right. And that's not just for his benefit either, because it makes your job as his mother easier for him to be more positive. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now that they're not doing these things with him, clearly they're doing the exact opposite. And if they're having so many problems with them, maybe that's why.
Well, that's the thing.
And they're doing all this horrible shit to him. He's not used to people mistreating him. He's not used to it.
He's not at all. And how about also the therapeutic center that he was going to since he was 3 years old had to close down in October because the rates they were getting from Medicaid hadn't changed over the past 10 years, but the barn wanted more money from them. So they decided it was genius. The state decided it'd be a genius idea to pull my child from all therapies. So for the past almost year, he's gotten 0 speech, 0 occupational therapy, 0 physical therapy. He has tendons and ligaments that are in his ankles that are like stretched out. So his feet kind of like angle out. And the doctor made leg braces for him and said, this will help support his tendons as he grows. So he won't need like back surgery, knee surgery later from being in debilitating pain. The state took him to a different doctor that said he didn't need them because the group home didn't like messing with the special zip around shoes. And so he's been without his leg braces for over a year. So
3-mile hike.
Yeah. And they're taking him on crazy long hikes. and buying him shoes. I mean, I sound snotty, but like I buy him like 2 pairs of shoes for every size, but they're always like $80 shoes that have really good arch support and are supportive for his ankles.
Is he like he's pigeon-toed or
his ankles
opposite?
pronate, so basically they roll out.
Oh, okay.
And so the state is buying him like $10 Walmart shoes that have zero support, and he's taking hikes in these things. And so he's physically damaging himself. But I'm a nutbag if I say, hey, I'm concerned about this. Like a good mom is going to be concerned about that. A bad mom would be like, whatever, my kid's gone. I'm going to go out and I'm going to party, and I'm home every night crying myself to sleep, and like my desk that I'm sitting at is in my freaking bedroom because I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and my son's room is completely undisturbed because I want it to remain exactly how he left it for him for when he comes home.
Moved.
And I haven't even said, oh, he's not home for now, so I'm going to put my desk and make his room like a bedroom / office, like nothing. I mean, I gave the foster home no matter what, come hell or high water. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I have to make Todd Young famous. I don't care. I don't want to.
If he wants to preserve his reputation, if it's good at all, he might want to do the right thing here because I will not stop. I won't stop making videos. I'm the one that creates all these videos about these judges and stuff, and I will not leave him alone. I won't, because he needs to do the right thing. And if he doesn't, then he's gonna be.
We will publicly shame him until he does the right thing. If you don't want articles written about you, us digging into you, us making sure everyone at the country club knows every little dark.
Does he have kids?
Oh, and there's stuff about his son that's been circulating around town for about 15 years. He's not the shiniest parent.
I would hate for the country to find out.
Yep. And I would love to have some kind of media thing where I can post in all my local groups. So that way we can find additional victims of him or people who've had positive experiences with him.
I did. Listen to me. I started a page. It's just a page people can comment on. They can't post stuff, but they can comment. And it's, who was your Michigan CPS worker? Your corrupt CPS worker. So I posted every county, like just picture of
like an album
scenery of every county, and they're labeled, so people can comment under their county.
Out how many people had a problem?
Because the only way to disqualify
judge
CPS worker from their qualified immunity and bring them up on charges is multiple victims need to come together. So you can comment the name of your caseworker underneath your county, and then scroll through and see if anybody else has that same corrupt CPS worker and connect. That way they can build cases against these horrible people.
And I want to make it clear, because I do want people to be better and can be better. It's never too late. We will gladly eat every word we said and say, you know what? This was a great person, and they just needed to be pointed in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Got caught up in a cycle of, let's face it, it's a negative reward system. That's what it is. That's what court is. It's a negative reward system, and it's got to stop because it's destroying our country. So if you care about everybody that fought for this freedom, don't be so inconvenienced that you can't give up $10 for yours. I mean, come on now.
There are some good CPS workers. There are some good, real, actual attorneys that are for the people. There are some. I'm not saying all of them are bad, but when you are taking children for literally like the most ridiculous reasons, like, come on, you're doing something wrong. That's not okay. You're doing something horrific to these people. And if you are able to sleep at night, then you're a demon. You're not even human.
Yeah. You know what? We go court watch at times, and you see cases where someone pled guilty for rape and they walk right out the door. Someone else emailed an attorney and they go to jail. Like,
having your children taken from you is the worst thing anybody could ever do to you. If you are a parent, the worst thing in the world that can be done to you is your children be taken away from you. Where's all the criminal charges? How are we all so bad, such bad people that we were never even brought up on any sort of charges? I've never even once been accused of abuse or neglect, not one time.
Yep.
So what the hell did I do to deserve to lose my kids? Oh, I had a pending eviction over unresolved utility issues. Oh my
That
God.
you didn't even know about?
Oh my God, take her children now. Come
But
on.
you didn't even know about it. That was the most messed up part of your case, that you had no idea that was pending.
Until they were at my door taking my kids. I hadn't even been notified, hadn't been given a chance to go to court and save myself. Maybe it was her other personality. It's just crazy to me. You did nothing wrong.
You didn't even hear me. I was just kidding, Kristen.
What?
I'm sorry. I said maybe it was your other personality that knew about it.
You're funny.
But that's the thing, is that they don't have people lined up to adopt him. He was in a group home for 234 days, where the average length of stay is 42 days. So basically, they're trying to terminate my rights so that way they can keep him bouncing from group home to foster home till he's 18 to make boku bucks off of him because of his special needs.
Why? Okay, it's because he's autistic. He's special needs. Whether he stays in the foster system or not, they're making money either way. If they adopt him out, sell him, then they make money. If they keep him in the foster system, they make money. I mean, so they're making a lot of money off.
Only way they don't make money is if they return him to their mother.
Yep. And that's why they don't want to. And here's the thing. It's like, it's not fair to hold mental health against someone when you lose your kid and your career. Like, my entire sense of identity was being a teacher and a mom.
Especially
I lost both.
When certain people have had mental issues that are being managed. You know, I mean, if it's managed, you're on medication, or whether it's you're getting the therapy.
But if your mental health is
managed, what
the
big deal?
Why would you poke a bear?
Right. Why would you make it worse for that person? What are you trying to do to that person?
They want me to go crazy so they can take him.
Somebody for having mental issues.
It's like, if you're even like, thank God you're not crazy, because you might have done something stupid by now.
Oh, for sure. If I really was legitimately mentally unstable, I would have been hospitalized a long time ago. I probably wouldn't even be here right now. You know, like, that's the thing, is that,
you know, it's crazy because it does hurt that bad that you feel like you are going to lose self-control. And when you're able to actually, you know, hold on to that, that's amazing, because it was hard.
It's very hard. It is unbelievably hard. You walk around as a shell. You don't feel anything. You don't see anything. You're a
shell of yourself. You're just a shell of you.
You're like a ghost.
Well, and they offer this false promise of hope.
Right here, where you're just like, you got to do everything you can. You got to be mentally stronger than you are, just to keep yourself planted in your seat. That way you're not jumping up and running out the door and going and doing something crazy to the people that did this to you. You know, it's hard. It really is.
And then instead of anybody feeling sorry for you or feeling bad for you or being outraged, they think there's something wrong with you. I'm like, it's the most marginalizing feeling. And I know that that's probably not the PC thing to say, but it is. And I said this, I had a conversation with Jackie Sample last night saying, I feel bad because I used to be one of those people that was like, well, I don't understand why anybody's scared of police. I've never been scared of the police.
I was like that too at one time. I'm like,
just do what they say.
Don't break the law and you won't have an issue, is what I always thought.
No problems if you just do it. Until I learned otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is exactly what they're talking about. If you don't stand up for somebody when they're being marginalized, you're next.
Hey. Well, and the other thing is, you know, I've begged the judge to speak to my son. And so if I had abused my child, would I really be saying, will you please go meet with my kid alone and have him tell you about his life with me without me being present? and he refuses to do it, but he says my son's welcome at court. Well, here's the thing. I'm sure DCFS won't produce him for court because they don't want my kid to say that he wants to be home.
Because it'll only benefit your case, not theirs.
Sorry, I'm stretching.
Go
No,
pee.
it's okay. I would say run to the bathroom, maybe, please.
Okay.
No, I'm ending this because we have been going for 3 hours, and that is
Oh my
why
gosh.
Yeah, we do need to go. I'm all talked out. I think.
we're going to be done. Nobody's going to watch a 3-hour podcast again.
I actually have a few things I got to work on before I go to sleep. So,
But we didn't get to Kate's part till an hour in, so we can
Yeah, I know.
at least say it was a 2-hour podcast this time.
Right.
Story.
But I still
everything they had to
appreciate.
talk about was very important, though. It was very
Yeah,
important.
and I think we got a lot covered. And I think that not only was this Kate story, this was probably
A lot of people's.
thousands
Honestly.
of people's CPS story.
Mhm.
I didn't have a CPS story, so I still learn every day from y'all. But every time I hear one, there are patterns.
Yeah.
And if I can see them, other
Yeah.
people can see them.
22. And
I
we're
am
still not even done talking about it.
put myself in the same position that I'm holding other people to.
Wow.
I'm going to stand up for CPS
That was,
victims because I don't have to have a CPS case to stand up for CPS victims because I see it's wrong. And that's what we need is we need the whole country to start
I
standing
mean, if
up.
it can be done to Kate, if it can be done to me, if it can be done to Dana, if it can be done to anybody, it can be done to anyone.
And that's the thing.
They don't
People
have a
don't believe it.
person whose kids they take. They take everybody's.
Even my former students' parents, like I ran into them at a park last summer. And when I was still allowed to have community visits, now they're only at the DCFS office. And, it's like they saw my son leaving with these people. And I told them he was medically kidnapped and they're in recovery themselves. The parents are, and, have like double digits. And they're like, well, there has to be more to the story. Even though they, and it's just like, that's what people assume. They assume that like, I must be doing something horrible. And if I'm experiencing the worst
on them because I was the same way. I get it. It's frustrating, but like, it's really not their fault.
Well, and what's really frustrating too is that, my old therapist wrote a letter in April before the evidentiary hearing. And she warned Judge Young, if you were to find Kate Malone responsible for this, you are effectively completely isolating her. You are removing her, traumatizing her by removing her child when she's a phenomenal mother. Like everything she predicted that would come true came true. And so it's like, this has done nothing but harm me and harm my child. And, my child is what's most important here. Like people can do whatever they want to me. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself. I'm at home with my familiar things, with our pets, with all of that. I mean, I might have gone a little crazy and like, this is my mental illness. I got 2 golden retriever puppies within 6 months of each other. So they were the ones, I will own it. They were the ones who were, making all that racket at the beginning when I was on mute or thought I couldn't hear anyone. But it's because my son said he wanted a girl golden retriever, and he wanted it to be a helper dog for him. So I have been having them trained and doing everything I can. So that way, when he comes home, they are calm. But, so it's like, I want to believe the best in Judge Young, but at the same time, it's not, he knows it's not helping me.
He knows it's not good for your son too. It's common sense. You don't even have to know anything about your case. Just know the basics. It's obvious that this isn't best for anyone.
You think that we should put social pressure on judges to do the right thing? We need to start showing up for each other and letting them know that we're watching, that we know, and
that you have a support system.
That you're not going to do these things in the dark behind closed doors and nobody's going to know about it. Those days are over.
Yep.
Well, and thanks to y'all, I have a wonderful support system now.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
before that made you an easy target because you
exactly
didn't have a support system. You had family members that were obviously against you. They feed off of that.
Kate does have her moments of trauma dumping, but Kate is the most receptive person. She'll say, okay, but yeah, you're right. Or oh, think this, but like she never is offended. She's never met. She always views everything as a positive.
Yeah.
So
I like constructive criticism. It sucks sometimes in the moment, but I always look back and I'm like, they were right.
It prevents you from ever having to experience the disgust of self-recognition. It's a horrible thing.
some people can't take criticism, period. And you're not that person. Like you're
Thank you,
making
Amy.
that person, you're not.
No, not even a little bit. She's not.
Thank you. Well, and another fun fact about Judge Young is I know someone in my community whose ex-husband was severely abusive towards her and is an active drug addict. And because her child has autism, Judge Young forces her to be the victim of DV, to be the supervisor for when the father sees the child.
Wait, what?
Because she knows so much about autism that he doesn't want a third party to be involved. So I already knew that before my case. So I thought, oh, surely this man will know, like, my son has autism. He needs to be with his mom.
So
You see what I'm saying?
this woman go supervise for her convicted abuser?
Yep.
Did I understand?
That's what I said. That's why I said, wait, what?
Yep. That's what he requires to benefit the child. So he's making her be around someone who's choked her out before. He's making her be around a career criminal.
I want to make sure I understand this. Was he criminally convicted?
Yes, ma'am.
So this isn't even just like a.
So this judge is just not. He's too dumb to be a judge. Then
this isn't a preponderance of evidence. This is beyond a reasonable doubt. Convicted
for hitting her, for touching her, for abusing her.
Oh yeah,
specifically?
And other women too. And he's a known drug addict and is numerous arrests. Numerous drug arrests, and he's still using. So especially when he's high, he has a propensity to putting his hands on women. But because their child has autism, Judge Young thinks it's a great idea for him to supervise.
If the mother is, if that's what's best for the child, is to put the mother and the child in a dangerous situation, because I mean, it's dangerous if he decides to up and beat the crap out of her in front of the kid. That's what's best for that autistic child. But being
right,
but your autistic child being with his mother is not what's best.
Yep.
Sounds like Judge Nathan Todd makes some questionable decisions.
I absolutely would have to say so.
I'm hoping
that's insane.
Judge
That is
Nathan
not.
Todd will look inward tonight.
That is not.
And all the way up until Tuesday. I am going to pray for Judge Nathan Todd Young to look inward. And I bet you if God saw you doing the right things, he'd make that face not so crazy.
Yeah.
He says he was raised on the values of always doing the right thing in his talks about being reelected for judge.
You're more qualified to be a CPS worker than the CPS workers are, and they don't think that he doesn't think that you should have your child. Yeah, he's not doing the right thing. He's not. He doesn't know how to do his job right then, if that's the case.
But we still believe that you can have integrity because you at least believe in it enough to lie about it, which is better than some. So there's hope.
And he doesn't even dislike me.
And he doesn't even dislike her. But, I mean, at least he cared enough to lie about integrity.
Yeah,
that is true. And I will bet money that I have a gag order put on me by him on Tuesday.
Oh, well, he's not putting one on this project. So.
Right.
Okay, so if we weren't to have done this podcast, what would have happened is they would have terminated your rights. They would have put a gag order on you. And
that's all just to protect them.
Giving you a whole new round of hoops to jump through to possibly fix things at some point, and they would all cost you money.
Yep, that I don't have.
That they know you don't have because they've already taken all the rest of it.
They're probably going to still do the exact same thing, but we called it.
Exactly. And so that's where I'm so grateful for the two of you for working so hard. Like, just not only today. I mean, I know today you just absolutely killed it.
Today. I uploaded a couple of videos. That's it.
No, but both of you have been spending your evening doing this, and like you've both spoken to me, on different occasions, one-on-one, and heard my story and been nothing but absolutely supportive and amazing. And I'm just so grateful for both of you. And thank you so much for allowing me to get this out on permanent public record, because it's really been disheartening that, like the police covered up for all the stuff.
I'm going to beg people. Saving the world is really hard. I get it, but we need help.
Yeah, it can't just be a few of us doing torture videos. Like we need thousands of people.
Everybody needs to, you know,
I
we deserve for people to know.
my torture video because I've yet to make it all the way through without my phone blowing up with text messages and ringing.
She complains about this every day. She's like, I can't do my video because my phone just doesn't.
I've literally gotten dressed, sat there, gotten my stuff out to do it, and there's text messages coming across the recording the whole time.
Yeah.
Olga, what were you asking? You said who the judge himself? About what?
I think she was asking if he was the one with the abusive record or the record history of abusing women.
Oh, I don't know anything about the judge's personal life.
I don't think that's. I'm not sure if that's what she's asking, but I think because it came up right around that time we were talking about that.
The judge just ordered an abuse victim to supervise visits with her abuser.
Yes. That's what he ordered.
Not anything to do with Kate's case. It's somebody else's, but we're just trying to point out how unqualified he is to be a judge, clearly.
Those are the only two people I've heard who've had experiences with him. So, you know, I would love to hear that other people have positive experiences with him. I'd love for him to show me that he's, you know, made me suffer enough. Like he feels that I've bled out enough to have my son back. Because this is ridiculous and I'm not going away. Like there's nothing that's going to make me shut up. There's nothing that's going to make me stop fighting for my child because I'm all he has and he's all I have. You know, like my own family didn't even take him in, which would have prevented all of this. You know, and so it's just like, you know, they're already going to do what they're going to do. They want you to be quiet because they operate under a shroud of secrecy and under the false hope that you'll get your child back if you do everything that they want. But I've been perfect for the past year, literally like no confrontation, no nothing. And all their notes say crazy things that never even occurred. You know, so I figure why not be public? And so I'm encouraging other people to be brave and be public because staying quiet isn't going to get your kids back. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless.
Get it all out too. It just
okay. I'm going to ask Kate the $1 million question that I ask everybody. Are you so glad you stayed quiet for so long, or do you wish you would have spoke up sooner?
I wish I spoke up from day one. I wish I had a platform to speak up. I wish I found the project from day one because do you know how isolating it was for me to spend? I mean, it wasn't until I spoke to Frank and it was only over someone faking their own death that I like found out about you guys. So I was joking with him the other day saying like that crazy helped me like find this project. But, you know, Frank's really the reason I joined the project. And, you know, because he explained it, he's the best. I know. And, you know, so it's like, I feel like I have like a family of choice now, you know, because my own biological family isn't there for me.
My family can be a bunch of pieces of crap all they want. I got to choose.
This is my bestie. And
she's like your work wife and your bestie.
She doesn't know that she's my bestie. And I have to
Kristen knows. She knows.
I'm glad though. But I mean, just it's so nice to know it sucks that other people can relate to my pain. But for 17 months, I lived in a vacuum of shame. I mean, literally, I'm in a small town, 20 minutes outside Carson City. I literally would not go to the grocery store or anywhere public if my son was out of school, like if it was after school hours or weekend or the summer. I would drive 20 minutes to Carson City to get groceries because I was always with my son. And I didn't want people to ask me where he was. So the amount of shame that I carried, the amount of like, oh my gosh, like
if you look back on my Facebook, back to when my kids were taken, you'll never find anything about it because I was so ashamed. I couldn't even say anything. Like I just, nobody would have believed me. I know nobody would have believed me because they stood in court and said that I was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
I did start a Facebook page for your podcast. And that's the first time I went way, way back in your pictures. And Kristen pregnant is the cutest thing. She's one of those cute pregnant people that just have like the bowling ball out front.
Just huge. I mean, I would literally fall forward.
Like you swallowed a watermelon.
Oh my God. Even
Like
3.
I did not. I carried it
look
by
like I'm tiny though. Like I'm 5 feet tall. You know,
I'm only 5'1", but I went this way and this way.
I went this way.
Right out in the front.
I look like I
the
was gonna
day,
fall forward.
2 weeks before I had my son, I had someone in a courthouse because I got married 2 weeks before my son was born, 2 weeks to the day. I married his dad, and I told his dad straight up it's for health insurance because I knew it was just like probably not going to work out. But my aunt, Lori Berry, was like, well, you can always get divorced, coming from the Catholic. And I'm like, I don't want to get divorced. She's like, but if you need to, you can. Don't worry.
Nowadays, don't you?
She's
know?
like, just do it because then you can tell your son you were married to his father. And I'm like, okay, cool. The guy at the courthouse, the security guy, he's like, you got twins in there? And I was like, no, just one extremely large baby, but thank you.
Well, the insurance doesn't know that DBT can be used for anxiety. They don't cover it, but that's an interesting.
But my insurance only is contracted with 3 places here. 2 of them are straight up addiction treatment. The one place that is contracted for DBT, I already went to, and they discharged me without speaking to my doctor because they didn't like a medication I took.
You're correcting someone who knows that's not true.
What is DBT?
Dialectical behavioral therapy, which is typically used for borderline personality disorder, that I was just like, that's what McAllister decided I had because he heard childhood trauma, boom, you must be borderline.
Yeah, and so that's bullshit because you know what? I had a lot of childhood trauma, and I think I've kept myself together pretty damn good.
If you notice,
without going completely insane.
Yeah, the CPS diagnosis has changed over the years. It was schizophrenic, then it went to borderline. I mean, then it went to bipolar, and now it's borderline.
That's crazy. I mean, in my case, in court, they stood there and said I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, and within seconds they switched it to schizophrenia. Like they couldn't even keep it straight, their lies straight. And the judge still that's why I never told anybody about what happened because
exactly.
I know how crazy
None of it has anything to do with Kate's fitness as a parent, but when you order somebody to go to a therapy they don't qualify for,
that means that there's nothing wrong with them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Just like Michelle was ordered to go to rehab. But
didn't qualify.
Her drugs.
I was ordered to go to rehab and my kids weren't even taken for drugs.
He's a recovering alcoholic who hasn't drank. How is in like 12 years. So she doesn't meet the criteria to go to rehab. They won't even let her go unless she becomes a drug addict.
Well, and to answer Michelle's question, in CPS's eyes, if someone is diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, that means that they absolutely cannot parent their child. But they're trying to say that PTSD alone means you can't be a parent to your child. Do you know that, like, because of my educational stuff?
Most of the world has PTSD.
I was going to say, everyone has some form of PTSD or secondary PTSD because we have things like bombs going off on the news. So even people who've had sheltered lives are being exposed to crazy things in real time.
Everyone who's ever don't handle things the same way the next person will. PTSD, including the judges and attorneys.
Some people, the tiniest little thing that you look at, like what, that's nothing, could really traumatize somebody. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Everybody's got some form of mental illness. Everybody does. I mean, there's not one person on this planet that is perfect in their mind. I mean, I take an
antidepressant, so I must have real issues in life because I take an antidepressant along with like 60% of our population.
I mean, at least you're managing it. You know what I mean? It should be. It's the people that are not getting help that should be looked at. Not the people that are managing it.
Well, and the other thing that was super interesting is I asked DCFS recently what the imminent danger to my child was, and they were only able to say emotional regulation in interactions, which was code for, we're pulling this from the parental capacity report and we have 0 examples because it wasn't as evidenced by blah, blah, blah on this date and blah, blah, blah on that date. And the fact that my son gets anxious after visits. That's called normal after supervised visits. So they can't even give me a reason that he's in custody still.
So we are going to end this at 3.5 hours, because I am going to actually be crazy if I don't get some sleep at some point.
2 more.
And I love all of you. I am cheering for Kate. We're all going to. Your hearing is Tuesday.
Tuesday at 11:30 Pacific, so 2:30 Eastern. And they probably won't let me have court watchers because Young goes around and he asks every single person in the room what they're there for
I mean,
and what their relation to the case is.
find out if you can get a link, because I mean, they can ask me anything they want to ask me. I don't give a shit.
I think
Thank you.
Tuesday, we should all make a post on Facebook and hashtag it Judge Nathan Todd Young.
With 1D. Todd with 1D.
Let's see. Let's see if we can make him trend. I challenge everybody. I bet you can. I don't know. Whatever works.
Let's get this woman's child home. But anyways,
Thank you both.
Amy and I both got to go pee.
So do I.
Remember, there has not been a rise in child abuse. There's been a rise in corrupt CPS workers. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you both. Good night. Thank you.
I'm hitting the outro.
Good night.
Good night.